USA Pro.
What's your favorite website?
Book me. Oh, Screamin'.
Or do you want to fight
Get the word
and
out.
then Crowbar.
Where's the dot?
Where's the what?
Is there like a
This
dot?
right here means fun rabbit.
Ooh.
Right
Yeah.
there.
Mine says 1 on it.
And USA Pro.
I don't have a phone.
And I love John. Ah! That's all I got. It's
What's your thought about the war in Iraq?
I think that USA, USA,
What do you
USA.
think about South Korean propaganda in the press? Wait, did you get a little blood?
Yeah, you got me on that one. I'm stumped. I'm sorry. I'm just a girl. I don't know.
I would just say to these idiots buying this DVD and wasting their $20 on this garbage.
Dude, it's fucking not a waste because I'm gonna show them the barbed wire match.
Yeah.
Cowboy Bobby Hayes. Yeah. And that's worth $20.
That's not a C-section?
Fuck no. Barbed wire match. Barbed wire match because I am hardcore like that.
Speaking of hardcore,
We'll see Daffney hopefully on June 18th.
Yeah, tell him to fucking book me again, goddamn.
Yeah, book him, John.
Speaking of hardcore, can I talk about Louis'
Come on,
girl?
Blas, you got the
Can I
money.
talk about
You're
Louis'
the money,
girl for a
Marc.
minute? Speaking of hardcore, can I talk about Louis' girl for a minute? You know, speaking of Wonder Woman, I wonder, is Louis' girl really a woman?
Wow, why are you laughing? You know somebody?
No, I just love Anthony
Speaking of screaming in Iraq,
Are you drunk, Blas?
No, I just have
No,
a
we're not
legit question, because I
Are
don't
you
watch
crazy?
it.
I am.
When
That's why Carrie's on the side.
Every Thursday night, you ask the questions, DT gives you his answers. No holds barred.
It's Q&A with Don Tony. This is your chance to speak your mind and be heard about anything.
Q&A with Don Tony. And now, your host, Don Tony.
What's going on, everybody? September 2nd, 2021. Q&A with DT. That's what we normally do on Thursdays. Tonight will be a little different. Boy, I tell you, man. You meet people in life, and very special people. And they give off such a bright array of light. And you see what goes on in this world with mental health, depression, loneliness, loss of a loved one, loss of a pet, bad relationship, getting old, losing a job, COVID. Man, this is rough. 46 years old. You would have told me over these 20 years that I knew Daffney that it would end this way. One of the toughest, nicest people that I have ever known in my entire life. I've been doing this since 1997. And I met Daffney in 2002. And I know some of you out there know some of the stories already. Please forgive me tonight. Sucks that under these circumstances, we pay tribute this way. But I will tell you, she had tons of friends that she was much more close to. Weren't like this. But when you have a friendship with someone for 20 years, through a lot of personal stuff as well, you get to know them pretty well. And I know this sounds so cliche, less than 24 hours that she's gone, but the Shannon I almost said her. See, that's how far back I go with her. I put a couple of screenshots in the computer of a few things, telling stories, just straight from here and here. Not looking at notes tonight. I swear to you, I have no notes in front of me. Nothing. Zero. Shannon was just a wonderful woman. Seriously. And boy, man, the outpouring of love that you see today in the wrestling world amongst fans, there's not a bad thing to say about her. There's not. And I know, it's cliche to say this, but knowing the Daffney that I knew, she wouldn't want anyone to be shedding tears tonight. She would want them to laugh and scream and remember all the positive. And it just, I'm at a loss for words now. I'm going to put the chat room up because I know some of you out there definitely like to pay a little respects. Now, I'm not going to spend the entire show on this, but it's going to be a good portion of it. And like I said, this is not professionally done. I don't have notes. I'm not going to go through every little bio. I'm just going to tell you the Shannon that I knew. How we met, became friends, and things throughout the years, just little things. And I know since my hotline days in 2002, I have said thousands of times, how cool Shannon was, Daffney, a friend. Anything that I had asked her to do for me, she was always there. When I was doing a little bit of work for XPW and they wanted to bring her in, and I was the person that actually got her into XPW. I didn't pay her, of course, and everything, but I'll tell you a few stories about some of the names that she used over the years and why she had to use what she did. Just a couple of random stories. Now, let's pick this up a little bit. Yesterday, I was preparing for a regular episode of Wednesday Night Dynamite, cover AEW Dynamite, mention a little bit of NXT, talk about a few random tidbits and notes. And like around 9:20, around that time yesterday, I start getting a lot of alerts on my cell phone, which I normally don't get. And I'm looking at it and they're like, for the most part, you got to go to Daphne's Instagram. Something's wrong. And people are telling me that she's contemplating suicide, that she has a weapon in her lap and everything. And let me tell you something. I'm going to repeat a few things I said yesterday. But I'm telling all of you out there, I'm telling you, if I could give you one piece of advice, the social media stuff, I don't need to tell you. You're all grown-ups. You know how you should act and not act. And you can't take people for granted. Some of the toughest exteriors that are portrayed online end up being the most delicate, the most fragile. I think it was Melina tonight that said that some with the biggest hearts suffer the most pain. And man, that is such a powerful statement. But if I could give everybody a little piece of advice, and by the way, welcome everybody who was here live. Anybody that was unable to tune in live tonight, welcome as well. By the way, also, I just want to throw this out there right away. I don't know if her family is going to set up a GoFundMe if they need some assistance for funeral expenses. It's not appropriate for me to set that up. As good of a friendship that we had, I don't think I ever spoke to her mom. or a family. But any super chats that come in tonight, and it's not just going to be tonight, maybe Saturday night as well. I'm going to put them all aside. And look, I don't have it like that money-wise, and I'm getting married next year. But if the super chats that come in between now and over the weekend, if it's like $300, $400, $500, I'm going to match it. And anybody knows whenever I donate, I always make it public so you could see it. If they do not set up a GoFundMe for funeral expenses, if there is a funeral, I will send a large flower arrangement from all of us. And if there is no funeral service, or if it's just private with family, then we'll donate it to one of her favorite charities. What I was also thinking of doing is this, and there is stories behind all of this. If you look, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. I mean, I probably have about 50 photos of Daffney. I might do something that based on certain amounts of donations, I will send you one of these for nothing. We'll get into the stories behind these photos because this is actually how I became friends with Daffney. But I want to say this. I really think it's probably one of the most important things I could say tonight to each and every one of you out there. Your friends, your family members, anybody that you know that are close, even people that you've become friends with online that you don't hang out with in person. Keep it in your computer as a Word file, a text file, a PDF. If you handwrite stuff still, get a black book. I'm telling you, keep everybody's addresses and phone numbers saved in a book. Because the one thing that was so nerve-wracking yesterday was no one was sure what her address was. No one was sure what her phone number was. And when my phone started blowing up like around 10:20 or so, you know, I've talked about it before. Shout out to 𝗏𝗵. Much love. You never know what people are going through. And I'm going to share tonight a little bit of what she went through in the final couple of years, because I had a very long conversation today with one of her friends in wrestling and told me several things that you think you had an idea of, but not on this level. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But last night, when my phone started blowing up and nobody knew her address and nobody knew her phone number, I mean, going back 20 years, I got Christmas cards from her when she was still married to Rich Ward, who is the guitarist in 𝘁𝗵𝘁𝗶𝗵𝗵𝗁, Chris Jericho's band. I have addresses. I'm not going to show them, but I have about 3 different addresses for Daffney. I also got 3 different phone numbers for Daffney. Problem is, I always keep my stuff in storage. And I have talked on the shows in the past, I'm going to pull stuff out of storage and share with you and this and that. So last night, we had the remnants of the hurricane here in New York. I'm sure you've seen on the news, Queens, New York, a lot of it underwater. Thank God my neighborhood, we got only about half the rain, no issues. But last night at 10:30 at night, I go grab my keys for my storage room, which is across my complex. Shout out to Scorpio, 1117. Thank you very much, my friend. And like I said, anything that is generated tonight, 100% of it will go to her in some way, shape, or form. I promise you. I ran across the complex with my keys, pouring rain, because I can't multitask. I only have 2 hands. I don't have 3. So I can't hold an umbrella and 2 giant white crates of photos across the complex. So I ran to the thing, got soaked, picked up the 2 crates, ran back to the house as fast as I could. I wobbled like a penguin. I go back into my house, and literally my bedroom looked like somebody ransacked it. Throwing papers. Shout out to TCB. Thank you very much, my friend. Much love. Thank you for that super chat. And now I'm finding envelopes 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and different addresses, phone numbers, this and that. Now, yesterday I had DM'd a few people early and posted online, you know, does the phone number you have end in, and I put 2 digits, do you have the zip code? I didn't want to put and nobody responded. Then me realizing, stupid me, you know, my past being a little bit more brash and a little bit more salty on my shows, a lot of people have me muted. So a lot of people out there didn't even see the stuff that I posted. So I know some of you out there, you know, and look, we were all upset yesterday because all we wanted to do is find the right number, find the right address, get somebody over to that house and save this woman. And I had this stuff. I called one number, left a voicemail. I don't even know if it was still good. So I left them voicemail. I'm not going to say what I said, but I was like, please call. Without getting too personal, you know, she was married to Rich Ward of 𝘬𝗫𝗄𝘁. And the marriage, you know, ended. And she was very disappointed and very hurt. And the thing is that a lot of you out there know about my bad marriage in 1999. So when she's telling me certain things personally, and I'm trying to relate, you know, with my experiences, you know, you got that connection. And all I kept thinking about yesterday is that, you know, look, there was so many dark times, even with her weight gain, I got a few things I'm going to share with you tonight. You know, she had, if I remember the year correctly, in 2011, she had a car accident. It was either 2011 or 2012, and the car flipped upside down. She also had neck injuries in TNA, the old TNA, not the current Impact Wrestling. And she sued them. They ended up settling out of court. Problem is, settling out of court doesn't take away the pain. And yeah, some of it mirrors a lot of my stuff. And you go through an accident, you go through injuries, and you numb the pain with medication, with alcohol. And then on top of it, I mean, you look at some of the stuff that she did in her wrestling career, she suffered several concussions. And when you start having the effects later on in life from those concussions, and you add in the fact that you're not involved with anyone, that she was very, very close with her pets, very close. There was an incident in Florida many years ago. I don't want to say the house she was staying at, but her cat somehow got loose and ran in the street, and she was devastated, you know. And you just have this pile up, and now you're in your mid-40s, and we're in the middle of COVID. So you're dealing with COVID, you're dealing with being lonely, you're dealing with just getting older, not being able to do the things you used to do. 𝘁𝗵𝗁𝗵𝗁, much love, my friend. Karl, Toussaint. And I will get into everybody's super chats in a few minutes. Trust me, if some go, I promise you, no one will be forgotten tonight. And I apologize if some of what I say is, you know, a little bit rambling, because how do you prepare for something like this? I just want to talk about a little bit of her, a little bit of the good things, and maybe this will help somebody in some way, shape, or form. And she gets older. She can't do the things that she used to. I mean, when I showed you the Ivan story, a lot of you know the Ivan story, how we became friends. And, you know, looking for a job when wrestling pretty much is what you've done the last 20 years. She tried to become an actress. She tried to become an actress in 2003. And believe it or not, this was a promo photo that I had made up for her. And I don't think anybody has this. And she passed that around a lot of talent agencies trying to become an actress. And unfortunately, they really did not bite. And she went back into wrestling. And you take all that and you have the pain and you're having complications from concussions and the issues with the neck and your body and depression. And she turned to food. And she turned to anything that would numb her pain. And it gets to a point where it just takes over. I swear to you, on a stack of Bibles, I'll never do another show again. This episode is not going to be about me. But the only reason why I'm showing you a couple of things about me is because if similar things happen to me that happened to her, similar things happen to you, a lot of you out there. And some of you have publicly said it over the last 24 hours, and some of you have emailed me. Some people in wrestling that still are very, very hesitant to make it public. All right. I got married 20 years ago and got it annulled 22 years ago. And I went into a deep depression, and I talked about this yesterday, 2 weeks ago. And one of the things I did was I turned to food. And that's how big I got. I turned to food. And you know how depressed you feel when you're 360 pounds and you can't move? And I'm already addicted to painkillers because I had a car accident in 99 that should have crippled me. And it gets to a point where you have to make a decision, what you're going to do with your life. Now, me, I got very lucky because of my support system, because of doing this. I'm doing this since 97. A lot of you out there say that I help you go through your problems. My God, you help me go through problems also. It's reciprocal. And, 2 years ago, I put pictures side by side by side. And 2011 is the year she had that car accident. It was 2011 to 2012. 𝘁𝗵𝗁𝗁𝘁𝗁, talking about her time in TNA. She remembered when she returned and people like what happened to her. Yeah, Daffney was a badass. She was tough, but one of the nicest people you ever met. Early in my years of doing the hotline, whenever I talked about the friendship or had conversations with her, just casual videos, some people would take it like, oh, you're just rubbing it in our face. And I'm like, no, this is a special person, a special friend. And all of these things that built up. And look at this shirt. That she had on sale in the Pro Wrestling Tee store. By the way, I posted the link. I know you can't click on it. Actually, you know what? When the show is over tonight, I will make a clickable link at the top of the page right at this point if you want to order this shirt. But look at what this shirt says. Nurse Daffney says, when in doubt, reach out. Your illness does not define you. Your strength and your courage does. End the stigma. Come out swinging. Not all wounds are visible. Live loud and scream on. She was doing whatever she could to try to help others, putting herself before others. And, sometimes you put it out there to almost challenge yourself. She's trying to be there. You know how many women, especially, that aren't even in wrestling, that have written to her, and she's written 2, 3, 4-page letters back to them. And when I started doing work for 𝘁𝗵𝗁𝗵𝘁 2002, in fact, let's backtrack a little bit and share a couple of stories with all of you out there. I started doing my wrestling hotline in 1997. And after a couple of years, it became the #1 free wrestling hotline in the country. I know a lot of you were like, I don't remember it. Oh, in 1998 and 1999, when it blew up and got into something big, like, when am I going to advertise? I'm going to buy space on Nitro or space on Raw. When am I going to advertise? I just didn't have anywhere. in 1999, I bought wrestling-news.com. It originally was wrestleguide.com. And I said, oh, okay, I'll promote my hotline through my website. And if you all go to Wayback Machine and type in my website, you'll see my website when it started in 99. It was simply to push the hotline. And WCW goes out of business. Shout out to Prince Albert. Thank you for that super chat, Prince Albert. WCW goes out of business. So in early 2002, I do a hotline report once and got in the topic of Daffney and said a couple of really cool things about Daffney. I did not know her at the time. And I had a voicemail on my hotline. And here's a voicemail from Daffney. And she's like, yo, I listened to your hotline and thank you so much for the kind words. And I don't know if you do interviews, but I'd love to come on and chit chat. So I was like, okay, cool. So she left her email. I emailed her back and she's like, let's do it. Okay. So back in 2002, early 2002, there was a lot of wrestling hotlines in New York, and one of them was the name Captain Ivan. Now, again, I know some of you know the story already, but I'm going to show you a little physical proof now. So in 2002, early on, there's a guy, Captain Ivan, really, really nice guy, harmless, but a little bit persistent sometimes. And he adored Daffney. I mean, think about it, everybody. 2002, almost 20 years ago, Daffney is 26 years old, 27 years old. You look at her, you see the goth goddess. A lot of people don't know about the goth goddess. Everybody knows Daffney as Scream Queen or what she did in TNA. It doesn't matter. Not everybody is our age. But he finds out that I'm an interviewer. So he's like, oh, please let me come on also. And can I? And I'm like, look, I'll ask her. And she's like, yeah, so what? That's fine. So anyway, we do the hotline about 20 minutes. And I don't do interviews, obviously. But she killed it. Everybody that checked out my hotline loved it. So after the interview was over, I said to her, I'm like, look, if you need me to plug anything and this and that, she's like, I'd love to be able to sell like some autographed photos. The problem is I'm totally out right now. So I said, well, I have some people that I sell insurance for that are photographers. I said, do you need like reprints made up? And she says, the problem is she can't find the negatives of her photos. So she had no way of getting photos printed up. So I said to her, look, send me the photos and I'll give it to my photographer that I know that has insurance with me, and I'll see what he can do. So she sends me this. Courtney Summers, much love. Oh, you're very welcome. Daffney was definitely a ray of goth sunshine. I will elaborate your comments in a few minutes, a little bit further, but thank you for that. Very, very sweet of you. She gave me this photo. She had no way of making reprints. She gave me this photo, which I don't know if you've ever seen. It's supposed to be her lifting a car. These were all blanks. They were not signed. She only had one of each. So if I lost them, that's it. They're done. She has no photos. This is probably the one that people will remember more than anything. So she sends me all 3 photos. I give it to my photographer, and I'm like, look, can you do anything with it? She has no negatives. Anyway, long story short, the photographer makes about 300 photos up. Now, look, even if the guy charged $1 a photo, it's $3. And there's no way photos like this is going to be $1. And the funny thing is, if you look at the back of it, you'll actually see Mr. Photo. These were done in April 2001. I'm a year off. But so I get the photos done and I send it to her. Now, in the process of all of this, when I got her address, she gave me a phone number. Captain Ivan, I thought it hung up already when we were doing the hotline. He was lurking in the background, just listening to Shannon and myself talk. So about a week later, she gives me a call on my voicemail. She's like, listen, I need you to do me a big favor, please. She says, I need you to call your friend Ivan and tell him to please stop calling my house. She says, Rich is going to beat the shit out of him. There's this guy calling, and I'm saying to myself, wait, I never gave him her number. How did he get this number? So I don't talk to the guy in real life. He's got a hotline. So I leave a voicemail on his hotline. And I'm like, Ivan, what are you doing? Why are you calling her house? How did you get her number? I said, you better call me up. He calls me back and he's like, oh, he says, I thought I hung up the phone, but I had it muted and I was in the other room and I heard the phone number and I thought it was okay. And I called her to thank her and this is that. I'm like, Ivan, she doesn't know you. She thinks you're my friend. Nothing personal, Ivan, but I don't know you at all. Do not call her. She said, please do not call her. You know what this guy does? 10 minutes later, he calls her to tell her he's not going to call her anymore. And she totally freaked out. So I call up Ivan and I'm like, Ivan, I'm not going to repeat here what I said to him. But I said, you better not call her again. And I just tried to scare the crap out of this guy as much as I can. He never called her again. So anyway, I get all the promo photos made up. And again, I'm just sharing some personal stories. If you want a complete bio, there's a lot of other shows out there that you could choose from. I'm just sharing some personal stories to show you how sweet this woman was and how cool this woman was. A lot of little things you don't know. So she sends me this 2-page letter and she's talking about the photos. And as you can read, for those with audio only, I'll read the letter. She says, Dear Anthony, so sorry about the delay in getting this to you. I could not find the photo of me holding up the car. After 2 days of searching my apartment and my parents' house, I found them in my filing cabinet, right where they should be. I did receive the check yesterday. I cannot tell you how sweet that was for you to do that. It really helps, especially with tax season coming up. I have enclosed a Daphne photo for you, a blank and a three signed. I also put a blah, 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 blah. And if you look, it says I had an extra poster from the Germany tour last year. So now for those out there that don't know what she's talking about, she sent me 2 of these. WCW tour of Germany. And this thing is like massive. It's got all this stuff in the background and everything. So she sent me like a whole bunch of WCW things. No, she didn't have to do that. So anyway, if you look at the letter a little further, if you look on the right, you know, she's like, please, please, please let me know if I could pay you for this or if it's even possible. She wanted me to try to get duplicates made up for her. She says, email me when you get this or call me up. Again, thank you for everything. This helps me so very much. And I also must thank you again for speaking with Ivan. Everything is now cool. And she wanted to go back on the hotline. She was searching for a job at that time. And that's when I had talked to Slash. Why don't you bring Daphne and XPW? Now, go one step back a little bit. You remember NWA TNA's first and second episode? They did a Miss TNA Battle Royal. All right. By now, I'm pretty much talking to her every week. And she's telling me that she's got a problem. And when she told me, you know, I had no idea how sweet of a person Jimmy Hart truly is. But she wants to appear on NWA TNA in the Miss TNA Battle Royal. She wants to use the name Daphne. The story, and look, this may not be 100% complete because I didn't ask for every little detail, but she had said to me that when WCW had shut down, that Jimmy Hart took the names of a bunch of wrestlers. I don't know if he took the trademarks or whatever it was, but he, I guess, was the one that had the copyright, whatever it was. Jimmy Hart had ownership or possession of the name Daffney Unger. So Jimmy Hart would not let her use it for for NWA TNA for the Battle Royal. That's why she came out to the name Shannon. So she works the Battle Royal. I'm now starting to do a little bit of work with XPW, and we're trying to think of people we could bring in. And the topic of Daffney came up. So Slash, I got to give him credit. He's the one that talked to Rob Black and got everything done, and we got Daffney in XPW. Daffney still could not use the name Daffney. So she's trying to come up with some names, and she's bouncing names off of us, and she says, I think I got it. She says, what if I call myself 𝘁𝐶𝐶𝐶? If you say it fast, it sounds like Lucifer. 𝘁𝐶𝐶𝐶. So she went with that name, and that's why she was 𝘁𝐶𝐶𝐶 in XPW. So eventually, Jimmy Hart, because look, it's not just, okay, you can do it. Like Jimmy Hart, how excited. He actually was working on giving her the name. He eventually did, and she got her name back. So she worked a little bit of TNA, a little bit of Indies, a little bit of XPW, but this took a little while. And then in 2003, she got signed to WWE Developmental. I think she was the valet for Aaron Stevens, who you know in NWA and used to know him as Damian Sandow. I think she was his valet. And shortly before this was the infamous 𝘁cie HDZ match. And she wasn't in OVW all that long, and WWE released her. And, you see what's going on TV at that time. And a lot of people like this, you released her, but you have this on TV. So she was very, very bitter about it. And she wanted to retire from wrestling. She tried to pursue acting, and it did not work out. There was really no feelers. There was nobody interested. So she started to go back on the indie circuit. Shawn as much as I criticize that guy with the USA Pro stuff, he started women's wrestling uncensored in 2007. And I had just talked about this a week ago. And Daffney and Talia Madison, who you now know, in NWA is Velvet's guy. Them two were going to be in the main event that night. And I remember, because I was there that night, Hurricane Helms was there and a few others showing support for the women's all-women's show. When you look at NWA Power, and I'm not criticizing NWA Power in any way, shape, or form, but you go back and you look at Shimmer and, some promotions in Japan and WSU, you've had wrestling promotions for 15 years doing all women's wrestling. So she works for WSU, and she's really starting to put it together as far as in ring. She goes to Ring of Honor. She managed Second City Saints, CM Punk, Colt Cabana, and others. And, eventually goes back to TNA. And, now I'm watching her on TV, taking thumbtacks, doing this stuff with Dr. Stevie and everything like that. And, she's reinventing herself. The problem is, in the midst of all of this, you get injuries and you get accidents, and they don't go away. And that basically is what hurt her career and came to this point. The little video clip I showed you at the beginning, I have about a dozen clips like that. Just hanging out, the hotels with a bunch of people, whether it's USA Pro Wrestling or XPW or wherever else, nothing, personal. I would never put anything out there that is too personal. I would never do that. But over the years, tell you another quick story. When I got involved with XPW and we were bringing her in, if you go to Wayback Machine, you'll see them. I did the bus trips for XPW to the Philly event. Excuse me for a second. It's getting very hot in here, so I had to put the air conditioner on. I'm the one that did the bus trips. And at that time, you had Mike Johnson doing bus trips, I think, for Ring of Honor, Combat Zone Wrestling, 𝘁𝗵𝗿𝗵𝗵, I believe, also. And I was trying to come up with creative ideas to get people to go to the bus trips, because for people that don't know, when you see XPW events that were in the ECW arena at that time, 200 people were from my bus trips. I would have 3 and 4 buses going to XPW from New York at a time. So I wanted to do something where you interact with wrestlers. So Daffney says to me, she's like, why don't you offer that everybody who's on the bus trip, I'll go on the bus and I'll take pictures and sign autographs and ask questions, and I'll do it. I said, really? She's like, yeah. Go to my website, go to Wayback Machine, or do a Google search, my name and hers, and XPW, and see the bus trips. So we get 4 buses to go to Philly. And each bus, she got out, walked in the first bus, hung out with everybody for a few minutes, got off, went on the second bus, did the same thing, did this for about an hour. And she says, look, they're allowed in the building first. She says, when you get in the building, just form a line, take pictures, sign autographs, ask me whatever you want. And she's doing all of this for free. So that's the generosity of Daffney. When she worked USA Pro Wrestling, UXW, you saw the video. It was the 15-year anniversary of the stuff I had done with Louie. And 𝘁𝗵𝘁𝘂𝗁 wrestled Low Life Louie, and if Louie won, he got a match with me. And who managed 𝘁𝗵𝘁𝘂𝗁 that night? Yours truly and Daffney. Daffney worked those shows, I don't want to say next to nothing, but she just wanted to work. She just wanted to enjoy herself. She wasn't looking to break the bank. She gave out more than she received. And over the years, you know, you see what's coming out right now. You saw that letter I showed you earlier. There's a woman that posted a letter that she wrote her 20 years ago. If you look at it, it's the same exact paper. It's the same exact writing. It's it. And that's all Daffney would do. Just handwrite, handwrite, handwrite. Here's another one. I can't find the picture, but when everything happened last night, there's an infamous photo of me and Daffney that I know a lot of you have seen before. Now, I can't remember the person's name. I will shout you out Saturday. I'm so sorry. Somebody today enhanced the photo to make it look better. So thinking that Daffney was okay, or somebody got to her yesterday and, you know, trying to get her to call, I said, okay, let me post something a little bit humorous, because when she had her marriage go down south and was very, very down at that time, when I had issues with relationships and then getting addicted to food and going through stuff, you know, we would just talk all the time. So she loved Wonder Woman. So we had a chiller convention in 2002. I'm going to share another 2 very cool stories with all of you out there. Francine is a doll as well, and I say that with love. I don't think she would be insulted by that word. Chiller convention in New Jersey, 2002. Daffney and Francine are going to have tables at the chiller convention. Oh, why don't you come and hang out for the day and this and that? So I go to the chiller convention. And I got some of these photos saved, and I got to find the one for Francine, because I have an awesome photo of Francine and Daffney posing from that night. So I go and I spend the day there, and they're doing raffles to give away items. At the time, at my hotline, there was a girl that had bone cancer, and she absolutely adored Francine and Daffney. So I don't know Francine all that much. I mean, she knew me more than anything else when she had a website back then and was selling items, and there was a super fan that would buy everything. And me, like an idiot, I went on my hotline and I said, this guy's a whack job buying like all the crazy stuff. She's like, please don't. He's one of the nice people. And I ended up talking to him. He was one of the most nicest people around, harmless. So I felt kind of bad for doing that. So when I got to the Chiller convention, I said, how much are the raffles? $1 a piece? Okay. Give me a whole bunch of raffles. Now, in a way, I thought maybe they were getting a little bit creeped out by yours truly. Because if you remember what Francine used to wear in ECW, I'm trying to win this thing. She's probably saying to herself, wait a minute, this guy's giving me all his money for raffles to win my little skimpy outfit. So I explained to both of them that I had a girl that calls the hotline that has bone cancer, and she was a big, huge fan of both of them. So Francine says, give me a minute. She goes aside with Daffney, and she's like, you know what? Let me look at my briefcase. She goes in her bag and she's like, will you believe it? You won this. I just pulled it. You won. She took another outfit out that I don't think she was going to give away that night. And she gave it to me to give it to this woman. So at the next USA Pro Wrestling show, I give her that. I think I gave her an autographed photo or two of Daffney and something else. And I felt weird because, you know, even back in 2002, you know, there were ways to sell items online. In fact, I even think eBay was around a couple of years at that time. So what I was afraid of is that she would think that I'm just taking this and I'm going to try to sell it online. So I said to her, I said, look, when I see this person and I give her the outfits, I'm going to take a picture of her with it so you could see. I would never lie. I mean, that's one thing about me. First of all, I'm not a good liar. Second of all, the reason why my stories are 100% accurate, 22 years counting, is because I don't like lying, because I don't want to remember all these lies. And my father, when I was a kid, taught me, don't lie, because then you got to lie on top of lie on top of lie on top of lie, and eventually you're going to get caught. So I said, I'm going to take a picture so you could see that I gave it to her. So here's this 19-year-old girl at USA Pro Wrestling. And I said, look, can you just like hold this up so I could take a picture so I could show them that I really gave it to you? She's like, sure. So here's this girl with bone cancer, and she's holding up in the air this big skimpy outfit of Francine that she wore, a leather outfit in ECW. I took the picture and we laughed. The girl laughed, I laughed, Francine laughed, because it was like, you know, it just looked a little bit awkward, like, hey, look what I got. But Francine and Daffney gave me items just to give her. Didn't need to do that. Later that night, and how I always remember this, the Angels, the California Angels, the Anaheim Angels were in the World Series that year. So that night, we all went to some bar at the airport in New Jersey. And that was the first time I got to meet Crowbar, Chris Ford. And Crowbar is a phenomenal chiropractor. You knew him, Crowbar, WCW. You know, he worked ECW for a short period of time and a lot of other promotions. But Crowbar was there. And everybody is just hanging out at a bar. And I'm sitting there with all of them. And, you know, Crowbar is like the male version of Daffney. Like one of the nicest people you will ever meet. You see people even today talking about how this guy goes out of his way to help people who are dealing with pain and trying to help them and this and that. And sure, he's got a business to run, but he tries to help everybody. You see the pattern here? Francine, Crowbar, Daffney, and others. They just cared and enjoyed what they were doing so much that they were more about giving back and making people happy. And now you realize, you know, Daffney doing Zooms with Victoria, Zooms with Francine and others, and laughing and just, you know, shouting people out and having this. And meanwhile, inside, you know, there was a lot of pain, a lot of hurt. And you could see, I had the conversation with somebody today. You could see that over the last couple of years, especially, you know, when you get into that deep depression, you know, you got to find something to attach yourself to. You know, if it's not a relationship, if it's not hobbies, if it's not this, it's not that, for a lot of people, it's food. And food becomes your best friend. And, you know, I've been there, done that. I showed you earlier. I can't tell you how many times I'd be out with my friends. And I'd be out having a great time at a bar, whatever it is, and just having fun. And all I would think about in the back of my mind is, when am I going to get out of here so I could get a double bacon cheeseburger deluxe and just go home and watch TV and eat for 4 hours? Or you call the Chinese restaurant, you get Chinese food delivered and pizza delivered and this and that, because food does not lie to you. Food does not hurt your feelings. Food does not troll you on social media. Food does not make fun of you. Food is your friend, and you embrace it, and you eat and eat and eat and eat. I went on keto, and I went off it this weekend for my mom's birthday for one day, but I'm right back on it. And the one thing that it did for me was it cleared my head. And when you're dealing with pain, inflammation, anybody that's ever been on keto, you know what I'm talking about. You know, and then you realize all the suffering she had from the neck injury, and you realize that she ends up with next to nothing, and she's still living her life of pain, not just physically, but emotionally. And, you know, I saw a few people in wrestling today that were getting upset at people showing pictures of Shannon like this. Like this. That's the infamous photo. Look at the chest hair. That is not a black magic marker on my chest. That is chest hair. I kid you not. I put that on Twitter yesterday and I tagged her. I'm like, if you see this, I'm going to put up the infamous ugly chest hair photo of me. Maybe that'll just get you just to smirk even a second and call me. Didn't work. Didn't work. But I was talking about the Wonder Woman stuff. She loved Wonder Woman. If you look at a lot of her work, even when she was doing Ring of Honor stuff, you saw her in Wonder Woman stuff. A lot of those outfits, I bought it for her as a gift. And just to show you like how appreciative she was. She writes this: "Thank you so much for my awesome Wonder Woman stuff. Hope you had a great holiday." And she gave me a ton of Daffney stuff to give to others. And she asked me, now, because of my friend, the photographer, she now has negatives. So now she can get photos if she wants. But for years and years and years, whenever you got an autographed photo from Daffney, I'm the one that made the photos up. And absolutely wonderful girl. Like I said, I have tons and tons of photos that she has signed. I am not putting them up on eBay. I'll see what's going on, if they're going to be raising any money for funeral expenses. And maybe Saturday, you know, if anybody donates over a certain amount, I'll send you one of these photos for free. And you do what you want with it. What else did I want to share with you? There was something else I wanted to share. I still have not watched the video yesterday. I saw a screenshot of it, and I saw what some people wrote. Now, what I was going to say a few moments ago is there's some women, especially in wrestling right now, that were angry at people on social media saying, can you please stop posting pictures of Daffney like this? Can you please stop posting pictures of Daffney like this? Can you please stop posting pictures of Daffney like this? That's not how Daffney looked right now. That's not how she felt. And, you know, me, who am I to criticize someone else who is in extreme pain right now for a friend that they lost? But, you know, everyone out there wants to remember someone who is at their best. even if they have flaws, even if they had tragedy, you want to try to remember the better times of that person. That's why if you look at a lot of wrestling promotions, when they book Hall of Famers, even WWE does it, they'll usually post a photo of the person 20 years ago, 25 years ago. You want to envision that person as they were, as pristine as possible. You just got to remember that the outside may look great. And you don't have to be in shape. You don't have to be skinny. You don't have to have a certain this or that. You could just give off this aura that you're tough, that you're strong, that you're helping others. And you look around the net and you see all these messages that people are sending. Her sending text messages to people, you rock, you're awesome, keep doing what you're doing, I'm your biggest supporter, and this and that. And meanwhile, she's got this extreme pain inside. Moose, I think it was Moose that wrote it today. What's up with this cycle online that, people just put people down and then tragedy strikes. Everybody feels bad. Everybody tells each other to do better. They do better for a few days and then they go right back. Doesn't that sound like the formula that we talked about when Hana Kimura took her life? I did not sleep yesterday. If you look at my Twitter account, I tweeted at 4:45 in the morning. I send DMs to people at 5:30 in the morning. That unknown of not knowing if she was okay, that's something that rattles your brain. Especially when you know you have, or you're pretty much sure that you have the right phone numbers and you're calling and calling and calling and getting voicemail and voicemail and voicemail. And everybody's leaving messages and then the voicemail fills up and then you got everybody out there. I'm trying to leave her a message. The voicemail is full. Please pick up, please pick up, please pick up. She is out of her pain. And that's not a good answer. It's not a good answer because if you're battling pain physically and emotionally, you take your life, whether intentional or accidental, that's never the answer. But you also have to understand this. When people say, why do people care so much after a tragedy happens? Because, and please do not take this the wrong way, but I know a lot of you will understand what I'm saying. If you follow my shows, you know exactly why I'm saying this. For all you know right now, I could be the most depressive person in the world. I could sit here and smile and laugh and make you all laugh and do goofy stuff and this and that. And as soon as it's over, I realize that I'm just trying to keep myself as busy as possible so I don't let that depression sink back in my head and I go insane. None of you out there, me, you, Daphne's best friends, family, neighbors, significant others, there is no perfect way to oversee someone. You could be with that person 18 hours a day, and that person's laughing, having fun, and this and that. There's going to be a few hours where that person is alone. So when people say, damn, if somebody only got there a few minutes earlier, damn, yeah, maybe that day you could have stopped it. And yes, stopping it might be the point where she could turn it around. Some people hit rock bottom, and before they get to that point where they just want to end it, there's an intervention, there's an interruption, and they're able to turn it around. The problem is there is nobody out there. There is no doctor. There's no doctor. There's no medication. There's no person out there that could pinpoint the exact precise moment, you want to take your life. I want to take my life. Anyone else wants to take their life. There's no way to pinpoint and know every single time. Tragedies will always happen. This is why I know it sounds so trivial and people write it, especially after somebody passes, but you can't underestimate the person that you're making fun of on the opposite side. Not even making fun of the person, just ignoring them, shutting them out of a conversation, not talking to them. Oh my God, look at this person. Oh my God, I got to stay away from that. Because that little gesture could be devastating to someone. I've had people, say some horrendously awful stuff about yours truly, and some of it I deserve, no question. And people, for a long time, people may remember this Periscope that I did about 6 months ago. And there were a bunch of people like, why don't you just reveal all the stuff that people were writing and this and that? And I said, no. I said, as much as I would enjoy, I'm going to be honest, as much as I would enjoy seeing that person getting yelled at, cursed out, outed, revealed as a fraud, this, and it's not any one person, but as much as I would enjoy that for some people out there who are so two-faced, I'm not going to be the one responsible that I opened the door and released the hounds. And then you realize that social media might be all of what this person has left. Instagram Live, Facebook Live, Twitter, a YouTube. That might be the last little thing that keeps someone from falling even deeper. That's why even if it's a lighthearted joke about a wrestling promotion somebody follows or a president that they follow or affiliation or this or anything, you can never, ever assume that the person on the other side is strong as nails, tough as shoe leather. There's no way that what I say is going to trigger that person into doing something devastating. Oh, really? Do I think any one person out there set Daffney off to do this? I have no idea. And I don't even think it's something we can assume. But I will say this, from what everybody has looked at on the social media platforms, there is no one thing. It was just building and building and building. And when you have the neck issues, depression, you're getting older, you can't work in the business that you love to do for 2 decades. Your family gets older, you lose loved ones, you lose pets. You don't have a boyfriend, a girlfriend, significant other, husband, wife, whatever. And you turn to basically watching TV, going on social media because there's always someone out there that's going to tell you that they care about you. And then you turn to food and food becomes your best friend. And then you turn to try to numb the pain by drinking or taking prescribed medicine or whatever you take. And meanwhile, it's just a time bomb. Not everybody gets to that point of explosion, but there's no way. This is just my opinion. There's no way you know exactly what to say that would stop someone and what to say that would not stop someone. You can't assume. You can't assume. A couple of years ago, I had a cancer scare. Okay. There was a scare. I had pancreatic cancer. And, ended up being negative. Thank God. All right. Now, in 2 years, I have another issue now where my prostate level is right at the line where it could turn into cancer. Goes any higher, it's likely going to be cancer. My father had prostate cancer. My uncle had prostate cancer. My grandfather had prostate cancer. Thank God all 3 of them recovered from it. But when you have 2 cancer scares And then 2.5 years ago, I had diverticulitis when they went in and snipped and cut out part of my intestine. From my car accident, I have the same spinal stimulator inside me that Hulk Hogan has, brother. You know, when you have all that, and then you see, you know, you turn to food like this, because I wasn't dating anyone at that time. You know, it gets to a point where you just feel hopeless. And it just all snowballs and it just goes out of control. And, you know, someone said to me earlier, DT, do you feel like a little responsible? He didn't mean it in any bad way, but because I was unable to reach her yesterday or couldn't get this or couldn't give a no one out there should feel responsible. But when I had the cancer scares and the diverticulitis and still dealing with pain, and now my father cut from here to his belly button with heart surgery in January. My mom pronounced dead 3 years ago twice, and thank God she's still here. And we celebrated her birthday on last Saturday. It does change you in here. And it really made me think that I got to just try to be happy as much as I can. I used to be the biggest Trump supporter. I know some people are going to get angry. And then I started hitting me, you know, just a lot of little things, and, you know, not showing sympathy for Black Lives Matter and not doing this and not doing that and not showing this, you know, and it just, I got turned off by politics. I didn't vote for anybody last year. And then you see the bullshit in New York with Cuomo and others. I used to talk politics on these shows that I lost probably half my viewers 1.5 years, 2 years ago because I talked too much politics. Now I don't even want to hear 2 minutes of it. I just want to enjoy life. I don't know how many years I have left. I don't know how many years my parents have left. I'm getting married next year. And for me, and this might sound a little bit selfish, it might sound a little bit messed up, but for me, as long as I have my health as best as I could, as long as I have my fiance, as long as I get to spend whatever time my parents have on this earth with them, play with my African gray parrot, hang out with all of you online without getting me too sick. Pamela Lynn, 𝘬𝗁𝗍 Bishop, I believe. 𝗵𝘁cie I'll get into everybody's super chats in a moment. But I just want to enjoy whatever time I have left. Seriously. I don't want to think about politics. I don't want to think about, you know, all this race tension in the world. Yes, you can't ignore it. I go through life that I try to treat people how I want to be treated. That's it. That's the formula. Treat people how you want to be treated. It is boring. It is boring. When we talk about wrestling stuff, the in thing to do right now is to say, F you, Vince. You ruined this. You ruined it. You ruined it, damn it. You ruined this. You ruined that. F you, F you, F you. And that, it gets all the attention. But when you just want to enjoy and be happy and try to praise stuff, you still criticize stuff, but, you know, I don't know where it changed that just enjoying yourself and being happy is so frowned upon. And I have shown that for the last 2 years. And I've pointed it out. Post things good on my social media account. Hey, everybody, check out what happened to me today. Hey, everybody, I announced this. Hey, everybody, check out this. Hey, everybody, some of my family said. And you would see a certain group of people that go offline for 2 days. And they'll act like, oh, I didn't even see that you wrote that. You could write negative stuff. You could write other stuff, and they will be right there responding to you. You post things that you have that is good, that they don't have. It's like battery acid to them. And they ignore it. They walk away. They pretend they're not online. They do this all to avoid celebrating or showing you that, oh, that's pretty fucking cool. If they can't have it, or if they don't have it, you shouldn't have it either. And that is just toxic. Shawn KB. And Shawn, I know you told me before, he turned to food and alcohol during the pandemic. You know, there's a phrase that's going around right now called the quarantine 15, that a lot of people out there gained 15 pounds during the quarantine. And it's true. But the problem is, when you get comfortable with food and you're more thinking about turning on the TV, having a ginormous amount of Chinese food or pizza or Italian food or Heroes or White Castle or this, I know it sounds good. But when you realize that you get more enjoyment from sitting at home with a giant tray of food and you gain 2 pounds and 5 pounds and 10 pounds and 20 pounds and 30 pounds and 50 pounds. It's not about superficial. If anybody out there is going to say, DT, that is so superficial. No, it's not. No, it's not. Anyone out there, the next time you go grocery shopping, and my doctor told me this a couple of years ago, next time you go grocery shopping, go down the bakery aisle and just go pick up a 5-pound bag of flour or 5-pound bag of sugar. 5 pounds. Pick it up. Gallon of milk. Pick it up. Put it on your shoulder. You could be like, ow, that's heavy. That's only 5 pounds. Now, put 12 of them on your shoulders. Put 2 on your shoulders, 2 in your arms, 2 under your armpits. Shove 1 down your pants and try to walk down that aisle. Walk down that aisle. Woo! See how you feel. It's not superficial. It's painful. It's inflammation. It takes over. So it's not just about eating and looking heavy. It hurts. It hurts. I've been on keto for 2.5 years. I drank, no joke, 2 weeks ago, I drank 2 Coke Zeros. And because my body doesn't take aspartame anymore, that's in diet soda, I had pains in my neck, my arms, my ankles, my legs. And I knew damn well it's because I had that. I had regular mayonnaise. This is not turning into a health thing. My point is that when people turn to food, it's not just an emotional addiction to it, but when you realize you're going through extreme pain in your neck, your spine, your legs, your arms, you can't move around. The doorbell rings, you can't even get out of bed all that well. And then you're ashamed to be in public. I look at all the merchandise that Daffney was selling. When people online say earlier, why are you posting Daffney that the way she looked 15 years ago, 10 years ago? That's not how she looks now. Well, that's what she was doing. And the person I spoke to today was a very, very, very close friend of Daphne's and filled me in about a lot of this. And it really, really killed me inside, hurt me inside. Not the right word, hurt me inside. Because I'm like, my God, there's so many people out there that are going through the same thing. And yes, you could see the change. You could see the change, but you want to know something? My grandmother, I don't have a picture today. My grandmother, God rest her soul, she died in 1991. She's the one that got me into wrestling. My mom's mom. Any of you have seen pictures of her before? She was probably 4'11", maybe 5 foot at the most, and she weighed 210 pounds. She looked like a 𝗬𝗵𝗁𝗶𝗵𝗁. She couldn't walk. Her fingers looked worse than Terry Funk's hands, if you've ever seen the arthritis on his hands. And Terry Funk is my favorite wrestler of all time. And when I see, in fact, the last time I met Terry Funk in person, I took Daffney to an autograph convention in Long Island. It was not that long ago. It was in Long Island. I think it was it was either a Saturday or a Sunday. Big convention. Terry Funk was there. Daffney was there. And we went inside. I went right to Terry Funk's table because I've met Terry Funk many times. He's given me a lot of personal items. A lot of you have seen the 2-page letter he sent me when I got engaged in 1998 before I got married. Crazy Cruiserweight, much love, my friend. And when I went to shake his hand, I looked at his fingers and I'm like, oh my God. That's why when not too long ago he said, please don't send me anything to sign anymore. It's not just it's just, he can't even hold anything anymore. Pain takes over. And my God, what she went through, you could see the physical part of it, but unless she wanted to go seek out help, you could DM someone, you could text them, you could chat on a Zoom, Facebook Live, and laugh and laugh and laugh. And you disconnect thinking that this person feels great. And then 5 minutes later, they're doing what truly makes them happy. I brought this up before, Axl Rotten. God rest his soul. Axl Rotten. He had a lot of demons, but he truly was one of the coolest people I ever met in wrestling also. And I brought this up before. Axl Rotten had a massive, massive drug problem. And there were a lot of people trying to help him. And several times he would go on the Mass Maniac show that the Mass Maniac and I hosted. And he would go on there and he's like, I got a big announcement for everyone. As of this week, I am clean. I have quit everything. I am focused. I'm this. And everybody would be like, awesome, Axl. God bless. Awesome. Great. And you realized that putting it out there was him trying to challenge himself. Like, okay, I put it out there. Now I got to do it. But he was still doing what he was doing. Bam Bam Bigelow. Bam Bam Bigelow, God rest his soul. When that guy was out of wrestling, he was perfectly fine. When he got back into wrestling and he was dealing with pain and would go right to, certain things to numb the pain, that's where problems started. A lot of people don't know that, and I'm sorry for people that already know this part, and yes, we're talking about mental health as well right now. But when WCW went out of business, Bam Bam Bigelow, I know some of you know he opened up a restaurant. He also rescued a couple of kids in a fire. Bam Bam Bigelow also had a 1-900 number where he would give football picks. And look, if any of you out there think I'm lying, you could ask the Mass Maniac, he's still alive. So he'll vouch for everything I say. In fact, I still got a lot of his pictures stored away somewhere. I don't hoard things. I keep it in a box as keepsake. That's why I still have a lot of what you see. Bam Bam Bigelow, when he was in WCW, he was sending money home to his wife, and his wife was taking all the money, was involved with someone else, and she left him with nothing. She went Splitsville. Bam Bam Bigelow set up a 900 hotline, and, he had possession of the original ECW ring. I tried to sell it for him on eBay. Unfortunately, I was unable to sell it. We'll tell that story another time. But he also said to me, he's like, Anthony, it's like, I want you to put some stuff up on eBay for me, because my eBay account I have since 2001, and it's 100% positive feedback. So even years ago, I still had a very strong established eBay account. So I said, sure, send me pictures of what you want me to put up. He's sending me pictures of his motorcycle. He's sending me pictures of Brett Favre, the Green Bay Packers helmet. He's sending me the Lawrence Taylor jersey from WrestleMania that Lawrence Taylor signed for him when they had the WrestleMania main event. He's sending me all of his memorabilia. And I told the Mass Maniac, I said, I can't sell this. And Bam Bam Bigelow's like, I didn't want to curse the whole night tonight, but I'm going to do it now. He's like, why the fuck not? I said, because. I said, I just can't be responsible, because he was back in wrestling and he was in a very dark place, and you knew where that money was going to go. And I wasn't going to be part of that. I didn't put it on eBay. And I swear to God, like 2 or 3 months later, he thanked me. And he's like, I can't thank you enough for not selling that stuff. He realized it, and ultimately, he passed on because of addiction. It's not just pain, but it's also pain up here too. It numbs the pain, but it doesn't solve the problem. It just puts a Band-Aid on it. That's why, like I say, when you see all these people today posting the phone numbers for every suicide prevention line out there, you know, they're trying to help. Me, I'd rather talk to a close friend than call a hotline. But what happens to those people that have lost touch with their friends? What happens to those people who are so embarrassed with how they look that they don't want to be seen around people? And they don't do anything about it. If you're dealing with any depression at all, please, I'm not a doctor, I'm just giving you my opinion. Please, you know, if you have a core group of friends that you can talk to, look at it like this. If one of your friends was severely depressed right now, would you help them? Would you call them? Would you want to try to save them? 9 times out of 10, I would think yes. Because one thing you notice about many people who are good people that take their life, you find out afterwards how incredibly generous they are, how incredibly nice they are, how over-the-top supportive they are of you. Like what Melina was saying earlier. You know, some of the people with the biggest heart suffer the most pain. So if you would be there for someone else, you got to let someone do it for you. Even if it just feels like the walls are closed in, even if it feels like there's no out. Somebody called into my show a couple of weeks ago and was very, very, very down. And I don't want to mention his name, but he lives in my neck of the woods. And he's just at the point where he wants to give up. Now, I don't know if I got through him at all. But, you know, what I said to him is, you look at all your friends. You look at all your relatives. You look at people you talk to online. You look at neighbors. You look at coworkers, former or present. And how many of them end in utter tragedy? It doesn't happen often. It should never happen, but it almost never does. So if you know 200-300 people and none of them have paid the ultimate price, so when someone tells you that chances are sooner or later you will get through this, chances are you will get through it. You look at Jerry Lawler's son. And Jerry Lawler's son, Bryant Christopher, had a lot of problems. Bryant Becerra, much love, my friend. Thank you for that super chat. Very, very generous. I'm going to get into everybody's right now. And again, for everybody who did contribute tonight, you know, like I said, I don't have it like that. But if between tonight and Saturday, if it adds up to, you know, up to like 500, I will match everybody's, and then we will see what happens. If they do need some assistance with funeral expenses, we'll contribute. It might be just a small amount, but it's something. If they don't do funeral expenses, you know, I'd love to send flowers. I'd love to send a beautiful floral arrangement. When Timmy Arson died, the ECW zombie, you know, he used to do hotline with me, the Blackheart Sports Entertainment Hotline. And when he died, we had the florist make up this giant playing card with a black ace, and the hearts were black. Now, I didn't go to the funeral, but a few people that did go said to me, like, DT, not for nothing, but everybody was asking, like, what the hell was that about? About a playing card with a black-red heart. It, like, almost looked negative. And they said that represented the Black Hearts Sports Entertainment Hotline. So it was a black heart. It was not a negative thing. That's what our hotline was. It was beautiful, though. It was beautiful. All right, so good timing, because I just happened to look at the chat room, and we got a troll. We got a troll. It's all good. I apologize. I'm sorry for this brief alert. I'm going to add another moderator in here, because not today, but I noticed that some of my moderators really, I mean, look, they have their own lives also, but they're not here as much as they used to be. So I'll be adding a moderator this week. So anyway, the bottom line is that, you know, even if you feel I'm a little depressed, you know, COVID's still around and I can't do the things that I used to do, and I miss my friends and I miss going here, miss going there. Sure. Okay. But like KD said earlier, you turn to something else, you know, and you let it in. You know, I hate to use a horrible comparison to a movie, but remember New Jack City? I was watching it 2 days ago, so that's why I'm bringing it up. Remember Chris Rock, 𝘁𝗍𝗄𝐻? When 𝘁𝗍𝗄𝐻 tried crack for the first time, just a little hit, and he became addicted to it. So a lot of vices out there. If you just let it in, even just a little, it could, before you know it, just take control. But if you would be there for someone else, be there for yourself. There's an old phrase, before you could love someone else, you got to love yourself. And that is so freaking true. It's so freaking true. How could you give advice to others when you're not living it yourself? In the case of Daffney, you know, you don't know when these thoughts started getting in her head to this extreme decision. But, you know, like I said, when you look at this shirt earlier, you know, if that's not a call out that something is up, yeah, she's trying to help others. But you see online, you know, things don't seem right, but you don't want to be disrespectful and throw something out there that may not be true, and then your friend gets very, very upset at you. How could you think that I'm going to do that? Are you crazy, and this and that? And meanwhile, they could be thinking about that. There's only so much everybody can do. There's only so much. Everybody out there could have been the nicest person possible towards Daffney, and it still may not have been enough. You just got to do the right thing. You don't have to be a saint. You know, not everybody says the perfect thing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But before you troll on someone or, okay, we got another spit, it's all good. I mean, and the funny thing is, if these are people that are just bitter, it's usually people that are bitter because I change things on shows. All I got to do, and seriously, if anybody out there that's watching right now that thinks going in the chat room and calling me words is going to do anything, all I got to do is just hit remove, and you're in shadow ban, and that's it. Anything else you write is going to be shadow ban. So, but thank you for subscribing, because only subscribers can post in the chat. So, you know what we'll do in the near future? We'll leave it where you got to be subscribed for 7 days before you can be in the chat. So let them at least be a statistic on my account. It's all right. These are just bitter people out there that just want to try to wreck stuff. Mish, I would pay no attention to it if you did your goddamn job in the chat room. I'm kidding, my brother. Kidding. No, but seriously, when you write a joke about someone, you put someone down, you know, I'm not the perfect person. And I understand when a wrestler is in character, and I could handle little insults, but, you know, I'm not trying to single out any particular wrestler. You could fill in the blank, but there's a couple of wrestlers out there that will call some fans fat. They'll make fun of the way they look. There is one female out there, I'm not mentioning her name, but I know a lot of you now know exactly who I'm talking about. There is a girl out there that's got to be maybe like 18 or 19 years old, and she's disabled. And, you know, her face, you know, there's some, you know, you could see that something is wrong. And this person is an avid wrestling fan, and she wrote something on social media towards this heel wrestler. And the heel wrestler has to understand that, yes, he's being a heel, but you also have to know your limitations. And if you are going to be a dick on social media 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, because you want to perceive to everybody in the world that you are a dick, then when you get someone like that, that you could tell something is off, you could tell that this person is a disability, that you could tell that this person has a lot of issues, you move on to someone else. What does he do? He makes fun of the person's face. You got to see the reaction that this person had online. And if you have half a brain and you look at the pictures that she posted of herself before what this person wrote and a week or two of what she posted after what this person wrote, you could see that she got very, very self-conscious about something with her face. Again, I'm not going to say who it is. Some of you out there already know exactly who it is. All right, another troll. And yeah, see, I thought I had Mish as a moderator, but he left. So that's all right. It's all good. We got 2 trolls. Look, guys, all you're doing is you're going to generate more support to me. So not a problem. All right, Mish, I'm going to ask you for a favor. If you see some of these people on there, okay, it's all good. Just you write the word hide user, and then what happens is they go into shadow ban, and then that's it. They're banned for life. They can write all they want. The only person that'll see it is themselves. Now, Mish is, listen, before anybody gets mad at Mish did his own show tonight. He's editing right now. So I don't want anybody, I was just joking with him before. It's not a big deal. I'm looking at the chat, and if anybody else does that, I just click 2 buttons, hit remove, and that's it. They're gone. I have some names, Rain Entertainment, as far as what we could call them, but, you know, it's not worth it, man. But one final thing, and I want to answer everybody's super chats. You know, seriously, you got an 18, 19-year-old girl that has some physical disabilities about herself. And this wrestler goes right for the jugular. And it's like, man, especially in this day and age, you can't assume that girl is strong enough to tell, you know, you got to just look the other way sometimes. And I tell you also, too, I don't want to name names, but take note of the employers that they work for that suddenly disappear, that they, you know, don't do anything about it. And it happens more than you notice. Take note of people even today. I want to name any names. Take note of people today who said some pretty fucked up stuff today. You know, WWE announced or sent a reminder, I should say it like that, sent the reminder to everybody in the company that if they need somebody to talk to, that they have support. And a few people out there bashed WWE. Not the right day to do it, but they did it. But take note, because these wrestlers are so valuable to the company, you know, where are the promoters? Where are the people they work for? Where are them immediately going out there and saying, look, you know, I wish this person would have said that. That's uncalled for. That's unacceptable. No. I was helping somebody in the back cut a promo. Oh, I was taking a dump. the ice cream man was outside. I haven't been on Twitter all day. You know, I do other things. I multitask. You watch 1 day, 2 day, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days go by, and none of these promoters or employees or the fellow wrestlers speak up and like, yo, dude, you just had a big-ass tragedy. All right? You don't like someone, you don't like a company, you don't like a president or former employer, fine. But shut the fuck up for today, please. Nobody steps up because the person is too valuable for the company. Remember that. Thank you, Mish. Thank you, Mish. Yeah, 𝗁𝗁𝗃𝗁. You could go down the list. We were talking yesterday about Crash Holly. And Crash Holly, it was an accidental overdose. But Crash Holly was dealing with some massive depression also. Anybody know? Nobody knew. You can never assume that you know someone as good as you think it is, whether it's a family member, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a friend you know outside or online. But seriously. Yeah, from now on, we're not even going to mention him. We'll just quietly ban him. That's a good idea. But you'll never be able to stop it 100% of the time. Unless you handcuff that person to you, you'll never be able to stop them 100% of the time. But you can set an example. If you're a little bit of a better person, you know, maybe that rubs off on someone else. Believe me when I tell you, when people say to me, DT, you're so generous, I just gave away a $300 Heil microphone for nothing. And I just gave away a 𝘁𝗍𝗵𝘁𝘂𝘁 mixer that's on Amazon right now for $260 for nothing. And when I posted online, I said, I want to give it to someone who is a current or former wrestler that is venturing into podcasting that could use it as an upgrade. It's a little way of me saying thank you for the years of entertaining me. I sent it. I sent the microphone out. The mixer, I'm waiting for a response, but I sent the microphone out yesterday to somebody with an extreme history. And I wanted nothing in return. I don't even want a public thank you in return. It's just, if I could give back a little bit, I will. Maybe someone else picks up on that and maybe they do something, maybe not on that level. My grandmother and my mother are the two reasons why I tend to be generous at times, because my mother has always put herself second to take care of me or take care of my brother, my father also. So, you know, you're not going to be able to change the world. And I realize I'll never be able to change the world. Go figure on Twitter. You know, people are saying to me, DT, why don't you try to get verified on Twitter and this and that? I'm like, I tried like 6-7 years ago and I got turned down. And I'm thinking to myself, the stuff I did over the last 20 something years, and it doesn't even have to do with wrestling stuff. And like, I have to prove that I'm valuable enough to be verified. I don't need that shit. Seriously. I don't put anybody down who gets verified. That helps them with their business, their career. JD from New York just got verified, and I'm extremely happy for that guy, because that guy works his ass off. He does this full time, and being verified legitimizes his work even more. You may not agree with what he says. I don't agree with a lot of stuff that he says either, but that guy puts in 200%. That helps him. Other people out there want it just for clout. So anyway, so I'm going to get into some super chats right now. And then, wow, we're already in an hour and 40 minutes. What I'm going to say is, I don't know if you want to take calls tonight. I mean, I could open the phone lines and we can have a couple of calls if you want, or if you want to do this, Saturday at 8 o'clock, I'm going to be up here for the Don Tony show. I'm going to do predictions for AEW All Out. I'm also going to do live calls on Saturday as well. And any news that breaks in the next 48 hours. So we could take calls tonight for a little while, or if you want to wait until Saturday, I'm not doing a show tomorrow night. I am moving the Don Tony show from Fridays to Saturdays. And the reason being is because I'm up late every night, and I'm now entering my 50s. And physically, it's starting to catch up to me. So my weekends is the time where I really want to rest up and recharge. I want to spend it with my fiance, my family, and everything. And, you know, I thought, okay, we'll do watch along on Friday for Rampage, and then we'll do a little SmackDown, and then everybody else starts doing a watch along. You do a show at 9, and then you move to 8, and everybody else moves it to 8. You know, so I don't want anybody out there to have to pick and choose who they want to tune into live. So, you know, I could do a pre-recorded show, but I figure, you know what? I'll do it on Saturday instead of Friday. Let everybody else do their Friday show. And Saturday, we start a couple of hours earlier. So instead of starting at 10, and then by the time I edit, I'm done at 1 a.m., now I start at 8. And then this way, by 10:30, everything is online. It's over, and I could still get a decent night's sleep. So let me answer some super chats for now. And some of these will be acknowledgments, obviously, for their kindness and generosity. And look, I want to make this perfectly clear. If anybody out there, you know, is strapped, a lot of people are strapped right now financially. I mean, God, even if you're not working, you know, or even if you're working a little bit, everything is going up in price. So don't feel that you have to. You know, you want to help the show sometimes, tell a friend, tell someone else, let them know about the shows, post it around. That helps as well. So, but 𝘂cie·HEH'7607, yes, I know you mentioned this yesterday, late last night. Her cousin committed suicide a couple of years ago, and it took a couple of days for the police in Arizona to find him, and he found out later that he hung himself. You know, I was bringing up Brian Christopher before. You know, Brian Christopher, you think of also Reid Flair. You know, there's a saying that sometimes you need to hit rock bottom to turn your life around. Unfortunately, you can't assume when is rock bottom. For some people, rock bottom might be like a Baron Corbin character. Oh my God, I can't eat a $40 Wagyu steak. So now I could have I have to eat a shell steak? Are you kidding me? You know, some people I don't think understand when they lose it, or they have so some people's rock bottom is much higher than others. For Reid Flair, because of his name, you know, a lot of people thought he was getting special treatment. In the end, that was not the case. Law enforcement, you know, maybe thought good intentions. All right, we're going to give you a little break, you know, because, you know, who you're related to and everything. But, you know, unfortunately, you know, the addiction continued and it got worse. And then we had a tragedy. It was nobody's fault. Nobody intentionally hurt anyone. Brian Christopher, you know, ended up in jail, and it was bothering him so much that when he wasn't bailed out right away, you know, we heard a tragedy, and even to this day, there's controversy. And, you know, a lot of people say that Jerry Lawler, a lot of ways, feels responsible for it. It's not his fault. But he can't help but to think like, oh, if I would have just got him out sooner, maybe you wouldn't, maybe this would happen. And people just take that guilt, and it doesn't help the situation. You know, it just, man, you just don't know when someone's rock bottom is actually rock bottom. You know, the day I hit rock bottom for me, and it's much different. I wasn't taking drugs. I was stealing. And it was 1988, and my father threw me out of the house, and my mother cried like a baby because my mother was always the one that would come to the rescue. And this time around, my mother even turned her back on me. My grandmother, just very quickly, I got thrown out of the house. I had no place to go. My uncle, Joe, took me in. And he said to me, he goes, you could only stay for a couple of days because the rest of his family was in Florida. He says, but after a couple of days, you got to do something. I signed up for the Navy. I went into boot camp. I had no place to go. It was 1988. I mean, I'm not even, legal, technically, drinking. And here I am in the Navy within a week. And I remember it was a Saturday, and I called my mom's house. I think it was there maybe 2 weeks. And I called my mom's house during the day, and my grandmother was there. The one I told you about earlier, the one that got me into wrestling. I was closer to my grandmother and my own parents at that time. And I told my mom, I said, put Nanny on the phone. And she put her on the phone, and I said, Nanny, I said, I miss you. And, I'm really sorry for what I did. And she gave me the cold shoulder, and it just felt like a knife in the heart. It felt like somebody kicked me right in the chest. And that straightened my ass out. I ended up coming home about 3 months later. I would have came home sooner, but I got chicken pox. And I was in a hospital bed from SummerSlam when Miss Elizabeth was wearing a bikini. Remember the SummerSlam? I was in a hospital bed with chicken pox. Otherwise, I would have been home watching that. That was my rock bottom. I was forced to go into the Navy. I had nowhere else to go other than be homeless. I thought that my parents, the next day they'll take me back home. And this, I was stealing. And out of control. But who knows? If my father would have let me back in the house the next day, would that have solved everything? Looking back on it, I think I needed to go into the service, albeit for a short period of time. I needed to feel what it was like for my family to say, that's it, we're done. And it straightened me out to an extent. 𝘁cie random question. Oh, I answered that yesterday. I'm sorry. Yeah, we talked about dilated pupils yesterday. It was about vision surgery. By the way, let me know how your surgery went. You probably can't see me right now because your eyes are blurry. Email me, dontony@dontony.com. Let me know. Tickle my pickle. Shout out to you, my friend. Shawn KB. This is all from last night. It's the same date. That's why I'm bringing it up. So I'm just shouting them out. Stoney Loney from last night. Okay. Buffy 89. Popping in. Rest in peace, Daffney. Hope she has found peace. Man, doesn't it suck that the only way somebody thinks they find peace by doing this? The one thing that we will take from this, maybe I didn't do a good enough job tonight to express to you how awesome this girl was for the 19 and a half years that I knew her, and the amount that she gave to others. It was what she took back was a fraction of what she gave to others. Even though taking your life should never be the ultimate solution, she's too good of a person to have this as a darkness on her career and life. And I'm going to say something now that might be a little bit much to say tonight, but I'm going to say it. And I will admit, I'm not the first person to come up with this idea, but I thought about it today. I truly think the WWE should put Daffney in the Hall of Fame next year for the Warrior Award. And I'm not saying that because I was friendly with her for 19 plus years. The reason why is because cancer doesn't always look cute. Mental health doesn't look cute. There is no perfect way to show it. And they have put such a bright spotlight on children's cancer, and they've done a lot for Connor's cure. And sure, WWE may not be the best creatively, and they release people and this and that, whatever. It's discussion for another day. But they've done a lot for children's cancer and breast cancer and other worthy causes. But I think mental health is something that should be more than a tweet. you will see a lot of wrestlers and even promotions that will post on Twitter, "We love you. Someone out there cares about you. You're not alone." You put suicide hotline things up. Go the extra mile and put it on a camera. That woman did so much good in wrestling and inspired so many people. And then you go and you look at the Zoom calls that they posted tonight with her, with Victoria and Francine and others. And Francine posted a little bit of footage herself. And you look at her and, you know, you can tell, you know, it's not just, oh, she's enjoying herself. You know, she looks healthy. You know, that's the saying that my family does when somebody gains a little weight. Oh, he just looks a little healthy. He's just like, no, there was some issues there. But, whenever somebody was chatting live with them, she would always shout them out, laugh, smile. No matter how much pain was inside, she always was out there to make somebody else smile. And she did that for decades and decades. My God, I could show you other cards and pictures and letters and other things that she's given me. And I don't show it to brag, but you didn't have to do that. But it was very, very special to get that. And she's one of the nicest people ever in wrestling, in the show that even the strongest, nicest, brightest, coolest person can be brought down. And WWE, you know, can't, you know, put a pretty bow on it and just put it in a tweet. No, put it in the fucking Hall of Fame. Make it aware. You know, just doing a commercial. You know, somebody said today, oh, September is Suicide Awareness Month. Guess what? In Don Tony's opinion, every month is Suicide Awareness Month. Oh, but in September you have extra, you know, viewing on it. Oh, what about March? What about June? What does that mean? Oh, but it's extra awareness for people that don't normally talk about it. Now they're seeing it everywhere else. And you only do it for a month? I personally think Daffney should be put in the Hall of Fame. You focus on her career. But you also focus on how mental health, how serious of a problem it is. And sure, we don't get suicides every day in wrestling, but one is one too many. And my God, you feel so much better, all this love and support and a whole Rolodex of hotlines in September. And then when you feel like shit in October, you know, and what do you do about it? Everybody else is ignoring you. Everybody else is doing their thing. They're worrying about their own lives. But meanwhile, you're home and the only thing you got is a TV and a plate of food and alcohol and medicine. How does that help someone? Oh, you helped them in September, but every month should be Suicide Awareness Month. Danny Blackstock, thank you very much, my friend, for your generosity. And no, man, seriously, it's reciprocal. I care about each and every one of you out there. Seriously. You know, I wish I could be there for everybody and I just physically can't. But if there's one little thing, even when Mish and I talked about pets a couple of weeks ago, you know, that's the killer for me. My dog, I'm still tormented to this day in my sleep. I'm tormented that my dog, you know, is gone. And, you know, the only thing that keeps me from really getting into a, you know, not a very serious deep depression, but really, really depressed, where I couldn't even talk about it, is, you know, I keep thinking to myself, I gave him the best years of his life. I did everything I could. Yes, I probably could have prolonged his life and kept him around for a couple extra months, but would I have been happy if my dog falls on the floor and just shits all over himself and I have to inject crazy amounts of water in his neck because his kidneys need extra water to filter? What kind of life is that? So since I'm able to talk about it, it might help someone else deal with that. That's why I do this also. I'm not going to just sit here and just bash this or criticize that. I try to be a little bit real with talk as well. I'm just being me. And it's sad that some people don't like that. Phillip Maffei was saddened by the news. Dude, man, everyone out there, like, I got an hour's sleep. You don't know, even though, I wasn't very close to her, in recent years. You know how helpless I felt yesterday? Like, I thought to myself, man, I got to have my old fucking cell phone somewhere from 5 years ago. I got to have the old iPhone. Fuck, I gave it to a customer. I redid the thing. Or maybe I have the little this, or maybe I have a little card somewhere. Maybe I have all, and you just feel totally helpless. Believe me when I tell you, everybody, keep in your computer. Don't be lazy about it. Keep in your computer, or keep a little phone book, little black book in your drawer, and have your friends' phone numbers and addresses. You never know. You never know that somebody that you would say, you think anybody out there, up until recently ever thought that Daffney, this would end up being her end on this earth? Hell no. I expected her to get 50, 60 years old and be like Elvira. Seriously. Never think that it can't happen to someone. And guess what? Somebody shows up on social media, writes a cryptic tweet, not even a video, a cryptic tweet or a cryptic comment on Instagram or Facebook, and your friends or your family or people you know are all scrambling like, oh my God, what's his or her current address? What's their phone number to that? Oh, I got it right here. Believe me, I think that's something that'll help. Scorpio 1117, thank you again, my friend, for the generosity. Much love, as well as TCB. TCB. Sounds like a music group. Sounds like wasn't that a group in WWE? Sasha, or I don't know. Dahak 666. He only saw Daffney in TNA, and Taz calling her zombie hot. Yeah, she was zombie hot. He will never forget how Daffney was chokeslammed by Abyss through a barbed wire board. She actually enjoyed taking crazy bumps. The pain came later, but she got a kick out of it. When I showed you, that video of me laying on a table of thumbtacks and getting hit over the head with a bottle, yes, I showed it to my family. My family is like, you're bragging about that? My father looked at it, and my father said, the fuck is wrong with you? I showed it to him a while back. And like showing my brother, hey, Nikki, this is you from 15 years ago. And then my father's looking at it, and I'm like this. And I'm like, and he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're proud of that? But it's an adrenaline rush. But she did good, man. She did good. Tragic end. She put so many smiles on people's faces for 20 years. I'll never forget the bus trips. I'll never forget showing up in Philly. And Joey 924, you may remember him when I was doing the podcast with him early on, Black Moses and others. They were all on those buses, and Daffney showed up. Vic Grimes showed up with her, and they're just hanging out, chatting with everyone, taking pictures, signing autographs, asking for nothing in return. Nothing. Nothing. Karl Toussaint, I agree with you. Rest in peace, Daffney. Harris B. You don't have to explain yourself, my friend. That is very, very generous. And trust me, I match it. So that's a 10 spot. And, every amount adds up, and we end up with something beautiful. I don't bring up a lot of things that I did in the past, raising money from Katrina to others, because some people think that I use it just to try to put myself over. But I'll say this. When we did Georgianne and I did the Drive for Conan, I came up every week and said, even if you have $1, you'd be surprised if a bunch of people gave $1, how quickly that adds up. 4,000 people donated $1 or $2. So it adds up. And don't ever feel, anyone out there, don't ever feel, oh, there's the, never, never. Not here. Your generosity is appreciated no matter what. Mr. Cake, don't apologize. And I'm saying this sincere. Don't apologize to me. Rye Baker, what's up, my friend? It's not my loss. It's a mother's loss. It's the wrestling world's loss. It's her relatives, her, it's everybody's loss, and it's just a really sad day. And last night, all we kept doing was looking online, try to find alerts, try to find an update, no update. We thought that we had an update or two. Her father was there. Somebody wrote, someone else said they were trying to get into the door, but there was some legal issue, this and that. April Hunter, what she wrote was true. But unfortunately, I got to show you all something. Because I know not every one of you tuned in yesterday. Believe me, I'm not trying to tease creepy stuff, but I got to show you something. Let me find it. All right, I found it. I got to show you something. Check this out. Today on Wikipedia, they posted that she passed away today, the 2nd of September. From what I was told, she passed away last night. And I don't want to say the time that was told to me because I have no way of proving it. Somebody had claimed last night that her Facebook Live went on for a brief moment, but then it was off. I have no evidence of that. I haven't seen anyone else have that either. But last night at 10:49 p.m., when I was doing the show, and I didn't even think anything of it. I was just more like, I was creepy, but I didn't even put two and two together until I checked my emails tonight before I went live. And there must have been about 40 to 45 emails from people who tuned in yesterday. And they're like, oh my God, DT, now since we know that she passed yesterday, and now since we have a pretty good idea as far as what time it happened, check out this 10-second clip. Last night, and there's no audio to it, but last night at 10:49 p.m., we're doing the show, and this happens. Look on the right of the screen. One of my tiles, thank you, Rofe. One of my tiles, I'll show you again in a second, that is glued to the top of my ceiling with spray glue. I don't use, like those command strips anymore. I use spray glue. I even showed everybody the back of it yesterday. Last night, a ceiling tile that I have glued to there it is. I had glued to my ceiling, fell down at 10:49 p.m. Watch on the right, watch. Scared the shit out of me. And then people like, that's like spirit something. I don't remember the exact term for it, but somebody said that there are claims that when someone passes on, like something could fall or is a sign that they're up above and they're okay. I just think it's okay. Fire Hydrant says it's spirit synchronicity. That could be it. Yeah, that could be it. I think it's just coincidence, but I'm looking up here and, you could see all the spray glue. You can see, and this is heavy stuff. It's still sticky, and it fell yesterday. Every other tile is still glued to that ceiling. I have no idea what the hell happened yesterday. Again, I'm just calling it coincidence. But I will tell you this. When that coroner's report is officially released, if the time that I was told is what it is, it freaked me the fuck out today. That's all I'm saying. I didn't think much of it yesterday until started thinking of it. Because look, when they showed today that she had passed today, then I was like, all right, overnight, something, but then they changed it to yesterday. And I'm like, oh my God. Then somebody said to me what they claimed that they read, on a non-wrestling website, and just eerie, really eerie. Just eerie. But thank you, Mr. Cake, again for your generosity and that nice tribute to Daffney. I tell you, Daffney's work in TNA, I think, is underappreciated by a lot of people. You look back and you see the skits and the segments and some of the actual shit she did in the ring. It's a shame that she ended up with the concussions and the neck injuries. Not just the neck injuries, it's the concussions also. Just really sad. Mike in Brooklyn, shout out to you, my friend. Much love. Prince Albertz remembers watching her on WCW when she had the crazy gimmick with David Flair around 99 or 2000, and continue being a positive inspiration, DT. I don't do it alone. I vowed when I came to video here last year that we were going to have good vibes when we do these shows. Yeah, you'll get some trolls here and there, but good vibes, and those good vibes are not going to go away. I may sway a little bit, but no, the core vibe of our family here, I wouldn't trade it for nothing, seriously. But she did great in WCW. My God, when she won the Cruiserweight title, you look at the fans, they didn't really react all that much because at that time there was a lot of crap on TV with WCW. But she's just rubbing the neck of Crowbar. You okay? And the referee's counting the pin. And he gives it a belt. And she's like, oh, okay. Cool. Mick Foley adored her too. Mick Foley really, there's a nice clip of Mick Foley doing a stand-up routine. I think it might have been in Georgia. And she was in the audience. And he told the story and shouted her out. And she broke out in tears. And it's a wonderful moment. And it's just a shame, again, that we have to lose someone tragic. Thank you again, Prince Albertz, for that. Courtney Summers, to you as well. Daffney was the biggest ray of goth sunshine ever. And she hopes that Daffney's in peace. Her 𝗂𝗵𝗁 gimmick was better than anyone else's. Yes. Yes. If any of you out there never saw Daffney's 𝗂𝗵𝗁, even the jawbone and the nose and the side profile, she nailed it. Nailed it. And again, she wanted to be in acting in 2003. And unfortunately, Hollywood did not call. She would have been fine going to look, because I talked to her about it. I made the promo photos for her. And they didn't call. And she had the bug for wrestling. I want to make that clear. She didn't just do it because it was something to do. She caught the bug. And she freaking loved it. And you're seeing a lot of people in wrestling, or people who are no longer performing, telling some wonderful stories today. And believe me, they're all authentic. My God, last week, I happened to tell a story that when I saw her take on Velvet Sky in Jersey for WSU, after the show was over, I went out to eat with Daffney, Velvet Sky, and two other people. I won't mention their names. And I won't say which person it was. But when we left to go to the restaurant, Daffney says to me, she says, "Can I ride with you?" And I said, "Sure." I said, "Is anything wrong?" And she's like, "No." She's like, "But so-and-so drives like shit. I'm scared when so-and-so's driving in the car." So I thought it was hilarious, because a couple of years later, somebody else said, joked online, like, oh my God, this person makes me shit my pants when this person drives. Take note, I'm not saying he or she. But we just talked about that last week. Oh, and I got to tell you all this, how weird things go full circle sometimes. This is about me, but there's a Daffney attachment to it too. Remember I told you earlier that Daffney asked me to make up all these promo photos. Yes, we copied WCW photos. There's one. This was the one out of all the photos. This is the one that she wanted more than anything copied. And the photographer that did them for me, he went out of business, and he used to be located right next to my office. He went out of business about 15 years ago. About a month ago or so, I went to a catering hall and reserved the date that I'm going to get married September 3rd of 2022, officially 1 year from today. And, you know, I didn't expect it, but I gave them my email address. And the next thing I know, some DJ is emailing me, hey, we're the normal DJ for this venue. You know, if you'd like to talk to us about us DJing your wedding, let us know. I get an email from a florist. I get an email from this and this. I get an email from a photographer. And the photographer is like, hey, congratulations on your wedding date and this and that. You know, we are the usual photographer for this catering hall. If you want to contact me, if you're interested, well, we could set up a date to talk. Signed, Ali. This was a month ago. And I said, Ali, why does that name sound so familiar? So I said, no, it couldn't be. I swear to God, I could screenshot it and show it to you Saturday. I will never do another show again if I'm lying. I emailed the guy back a month ago, and I said, is this the same Ali that used to have a photography studio? And I put the address down where he used to have it. And he responds back and he says, yeah, that's me. Can I help you? He didn't know who I was. I said, yeah, this is Anthony DeBlasi. I said, you remember you did all the wrestling photos for my friend Daffney, and I also did your insurance for a couple of years. And he's like, oh my God, holy shit, what a small world. So anyway, I'm using him. So the same photographer that did all those photos for me for Daffney almost 20 years ago, we reconnected a month ago, and he is doing the photography for my wedding. Can't make that shit up. I ain't lying to you. Is everybody invited to my wedding? I don't know, man. It's hard because if I invite this person, I got to invite this person. I know you're just joking, but right now we're keeping it just family and like some people immediate locally. We just can't afford like a huge wedding. I mean, as of right now, it looks like we're only going to have about 100 people. So, you know, I there's a few people I would love to invite. I originally wanted to stream it online. And my fiance's like, you ain't fucking streaming this live online. She's like, after it's over, you know, if everything works out good, she's like, I'll let you air a little bit of it online, but I was going to stream it online. I was going to shout everybody out, you know, stream it on YouTube. You know, I wouldn't like do a speech, you know, and like during the ceremony and like, hey, shout out to Joey, super chat. But no, she was right. Psycho, yeah, she was 100% right. I just thought it'd be a cool thing. And she's like, no. 𝘵𝘁cie8. Much love, my friend. Rest in peace. By the way, as far as contributions tonight, $218 as of right now. So I will match that. So at minimum, whatever we're going to do towards Daffney, we got $435 in the tank. So, you know, we will do something special. Absolutely. It's a shame it has to be under these circumstances, but we will. 𝘁𝗫𝗄𝘁𝗏, as I have mentioned earlier, during the pandemic, his outlet was food and booze. Food and booze. And especially when he lost his job. He got a new accounting job today, and he's starting to rebuild from the COVID. Congrats, Shawn. Congrats. Could seem like dark days, but more times than not, 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, eventually it gets better. It has to get better. Even though sometimes this country is very unfair, at some point it does get better. You just, you have to just keep the faith and just be confident. You don't have to be religious to keep the faith, but just be confident and do things that make you happy, that keep your mind off of problems. And if something is wrong, do not feel embarrassed to say you got a problem. You know how many years it took me to reveal that, I'm addicted to painkillers. I need it because of my injuries. It just gets worse, but I only take 1 or 2 a day because I got my spinal stimulator. So when I'm in severe pain, I hit a button, I get zapped. But there were times that I would take 10, 12 pills a day. And, it destroys you. It destroys you. It doesn't just destroy you inside. It changes your attitude. You snap at the world. You get pissed off at everyone. You get angry. You don't care about the things you used to care about. You just basically become an introvert. And then when your body gets used to the painkillers, then you got to do something else to intensify it. So maybe you take a little shot of whiskey with it. All it does is just put a Band-Aid on something. And eventually that Band-Aid rips off. And then you realize that nothing was healed. Burn One, welcome to the family. Much love, much love. Mr. Cake says, as long as you do you're good. And don't tell anyone, tell you otherwise. He cut a lot of people off a while back and he's happy. And he has his best friend. And that is awesome. That is awesome. I removed myself from a lot of conversations online over the last 2 years, not because I was trying to be nasty or anything like that. I just can't. After going through cancer scares and having my best friend die from drugs and having my parents both have issues, and I'm getting older and I'm getting sad, not depressed, but sad that the things I used to love to do, nobody's interested in me doing. Last year, 3 wrestling promotions, 3. DT, would you do some managing again? Yeah, I would do it as long as it's, local. I don't have to travel too much because I got my, real life and my responsibilities and my family and my fiance. No. It's, I think the furthest one is like an hour and a half drive. That's nothing. So, me, I'm like, all right, yeah, once this pandemic, gets a little bit under control, I'm there. These 3 promotions have had multiple shows since last year. No emails, no DMs. Then you can't help but to say to yourself, maybe I did suck really bad back then. It took a long time. When I show the indie wrestling footage that I show right now, a lot of what you see, I never aired. I never watched it since I got the DVD 15 years ago, whatever it was. I never streamed on. You don't think over the last 15 years I would have been streaming clips just to trigger haters? People made me feel so bad that my stuff was so horrendously horrible that I would never dare want to show that to anyone. Now I show it and people are like, it's not that bad. And then you have 3 promotions say, hey, dude, would you do it? Yeah, I'd do it. And I'm serious about it. And I feel better now because I'm lighter than I was back then. I mean, you look at my face back then. You could see more than anything. And no emails, no calls, no nothing. Which probably at this point is probably a good thing because I have so much going on. But, you got to surround yourself on what makes you happy. Crazy Cruiserweight, what underwear do I think Mr. Perfect wore in high school? He's just trying to liven up the mood. Cruiserweight is good people. I'm going to embarrass him for a second. Some of you out there that don't normally tune into these shows, especially on Thursday, Paul Orndorff died not too long ago. And I did a contest. This was right before Money in the Bank. And I was going to give away Money in the Bank briefcase with a couple of goodies inside. And one of the goodies that I was going to include was you could pick an autograph photo of anybody you want. You know, except for maybe like the Ultimate Warrior or Miss Elizabeth or Ravishing Rick Rude or Eddie Guerrero, because those photos are too expensive. So anyway, 𝗂𝗫𝗁𝗃07, you see her in the chat quite a bit. She is one of my most loyal supporters and a good friend of the show. She won the contest. Actually, I'm going, stupid me. Well, she did win the contest, but she didn't win the contest. 𝘁cie Cruiserweight won the contest. Now, for those that don't know, 𝗂𝗫𝗁𝗃07, she got COVID several months ago. And she was in the hospital with a high fever. And to get her mind off of it, she connected her phone to the show live on YouTube. And she was just hanging out, checking out the show in the hospital with COVID. She had a family member get extremely sick. She had a tragedy in her family. 𝘁cie Cruiserweight and 𝗂𝗫𝗁𝗃07 do not know each other. TCB, thank you, my friend. I will double thank you in a moment. So 𝘁cie Cruiserweight does not know her. He's not looking to get a date, but he won the contest and he said, you know what? 𝗂𝗫𝗁𝗃07, she's been going through a lot of crap lately. Give her the prize. I said, you sure? Now, I think I hooked him up with something anyway, but he's like, no, give her the prize. So she got the Money in the Bank briefcase. And I said to her, I said, you know, I'll put a couple other goodies in there. I got her a sealed little Money in the Bank trading card packs like from several years ago. And I said, pick your favorite wrestler of all time. And she chose Paul Orndorff. So I had my connection that gets me autographs. I said, look, get me a Paul Orndorff autograph. He says, not only could I get you one, I'll give you one for WrestleMania 1. Fucking hey. Sends it to me. I sent it to her. Paul Orndorff died a week later. You know, I mean, that's generosity and that's a good person. Both of them. But they don't know each other. This is the vibe that goes on over here. Not everybody can do that generosity, but that good rubs off on others. It rubs off and rubs off and rubs off. You don't have to change your life and try to change the world and be a motivational speaker. Just treat people how you want to be treated. Yeah, Chris, 99% of everybody in the chat room are good people. And I see it every single week. And there's no question there are a lot of other shows out there that have 5-10 times the viewers that I do. They've been on YouTube 10 times longer than I have, but still, I'd rather have a core family here that have a great time, that get along, don't have to be on your best behavior, but have a good time, than have tens of thousands of people and nobody connects with each other. Like the only thing they have in common is they hate Vince McMahon. It's not what I'm interested in. Not at this level in my life. But Cruiserweight, I have no idea what underwears he would wear, but something tells me they would be perfect. Bryant Becerra, thank you very much, my friend. Extremely generous. So between he and I, we're sending $100 towards Daffney in some way. You know, like I said, it'll take like a day or two. Somebody said to me, oh, reach out to her mother on Facebook. I'm not contacting the family. They're going through a horrendously traumatic time right now. And they will let it know publicly. They see all the love that's going around. And it's not, you can tell when people are just writing, oh, we offer our thoughts and prayers and condolences to the family and friends. You know when people truly are, you know, remorsed and they feel bad and just showing love and all the stories. So it's authentic. 99% of what was written today is authentic. And that family sees that. And even though this is a horrible tragedy, that family should be fucking proud to raise someone as special as Shannon. Proud. Seriously. 𝗦𝗵𝘁𝗀𝗵𝘁, happy birthday, 𝗦𝗂𝗽𝗃𝗃. I know what you're thinking. I saw a lot of people writing that today. You know, did Daffney pick this day because of this? I don't know. None of us knows the answer. We don't know if she left something for her family. You know, I'll reveal something now. I run an insurance office since 1998. Some of you know this story already. When I started my insurance office in 1998, this was less than 2 years after I had my car accident. I was still extremely fucked up. For almost a year, I was in a wheelchair. My colorful lights, the batteries are dying, but they could be recharged. But my cousin, who was an insurance broker for many years, he lived out in Bayshore, Long Island, Suffolk County. By car, it's about, without traffic, about 30 minutes away, 40 minutes away. With traffic, it's an hour and a half. So he offers to me, if I go to insurance school, that we'll start our own business together. Wow, BC Reviews. You're making me broke too, my friend. Thank you. I will double thank you in a second for that generosity. Much love, my friend. Sucks. It has to be under these circumstances, but beautiful, beautiful. By the way, I decided, let's do calls on Saturday. Let's do calls on Saturday. Because let everybody clear their heads a little bit for 2 days. It's not even about me being tired. I got 1 hour sleep yesterday. Trust me, I'll sleep a little better tonight. But Saturday, I'll be up here at 8 o'clock, and we'll do AEW All-Out predictions. Right. By the way, the rating. Yesterday, did I say 1,050,000 yesterday or 1,075,000? I don't remember which one it was. But the actual rating was 1,047,000. So I was this close. 1,047,000 is a very good number for AEW. Anyone that's going to say, oh, well, they kind of scored that, you know, before CM Punk and I, don't even pay attention to that. We thought back not too long ago that 700,000 to 800,000 was going to be the norm for AEW. Even if they average 900,000 to 1 million, you know, that's 100,000, 200,000 viewers extra because you have some people added to the roster. Yeah, that's 25% increase in ratings. I'll take it. I'll take it. You know, it's no one person is going to, remember what I said. I think a ton of AEW fans were already CM Punk fans. I think because a lot of AEW fans do not like the WWE formula, that they were already CM Punk fans. How many wrestling fans, with so many promotions out there right now, how many wrestling fans do you truly think that were not watching AEW and not watching WWE? I don't know about that. So, you know, in time, AEW, if they do it right, they will convert existing WWE fans into watching AEW. Watch both. Nothing wrong with that. They're not on the same night. It's got to be a slow conversion. They will make mistakes. They're still new. But 1,047,000, not bad at all. Not bad at all. 𝗦𝗵𝘁𝗃𝗃, thank you again, my friend. And yeah, 𝗁𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃's birthday. Happy birthday, 𝗁𝗂𝗃𝗃. Another horrible tragedy. So beautiful, both of them. Danny Blackstock, shout out to you, my brother. And yeah, look, I'm good. I'm good. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not just saying that. I have, you know, my family, my fiance. I have my hobbies that I enjoy. I have you. all out there. You know, I have my health. So what more could you ask for? You know, other than, you know, I wish I still have my dog, but can't ask for that much more. So and trust me, I don't take for granted the fact that I probably have more than others out there. So thank you for that. Very, very generous of you, Danny. Oh, and by the way, whatever we end up doing with this, whether we give flowers or donate it to a charity or funeral expenses, when I send it, I will include every single person who contributed. I'm not trying to leave anybody out who did not contribute, but everybody's name will be on there. So I don't care if I have to type it, you know, across a big paragraph. No, everybody's name is on there. Jason Lynn, you know, he's been a psychiatric social worker for 17 years. He's happy to answer any question or offer advice on Patreon or Discord if people have them. And he has the Wisconsin credentials, and they are public. Jason, I know that you are in that field. He is definitely not one to exaggerate or lie. But yes, he says Patreon and Discord because, you know, that's really the area to socialize. I mean, you know, I love the community section here, but, you know, it's anybody, you know, you want these conversations are meant to be more private. So if anybody out there wants to reach out to Jason, you know, he's on both. And you could always reach out to me first and I will forward your information to Jason. So Jason, that was very, very kind of you. Rye Baker, shout out to you, my brother. For those that don't know, when Goldberg showed up, or better yet, when Riddle showed up on Raw a couple of weeks ago, and somebody was wearing our breakfast soup shirt front row, and Riddle gave his brother his hat, that's Rye Baker. Remember I posted the video here? So shout out to you, my friend. Thank you very much for your generosity. And yeah, just really, really sad. It has to be under these circumstances. Same thing, Mark Anderson. You know, I honestly did not expect the whole episode today to be about what happened. But I'm kind of proud. I am proud. It's not kind of proud. I am proud that we were able to have some honest discussion just about mental health and just everyday stuff that we all go through. You know, I appreciate everybody who writes a tweet, who truly cares about others, who always keeps their DMs open. Some people even put their phone number out there. There are some very, very wonderful people out there. You know, but unfortunately, a lot of people are too embarrassed to make that jump. So sometimes just having someone talk and you hear something that you relate to, believe me, I tell you, I showed the pictures of me earlier of how I looked. I'm not in any way, shape, or form trying to make this about me. My point is that what Shannon went through in a lot of ways, I guarantee you a lot of people who tuned in tonight went through similar. Food addiction, depression, loneliness, losing pets, getting older, not being able to do the things you used to. You feel that you're not good enough. Your friends don't call you anymore. You're not invited to wrestling events. You're not invited to conventions. You look in the mirror and then you look at what you, and you just feel like you're not the person you used to be. Who is that person? I mean, anybody who has gone through that, you don't have to be in wrestling to feel that pain. It comes in all shapes and sizes and all colors. It doesn't matter. It rears its ugly head across the board. It's not based on how much money you make or how cute you are or what gender you are, or, you know, it doesn't matter. A lot of people take something from somewhere and maybe that helps. That's why I wanted to do this. Even if I didn't do a show tonight, I think everybody out there would have seen through others how wonderful this woman was. I bragged for 19 and a half years from my hotlines to the podcast about my friendship with her. Not so people could say, oh, you're cool. No. She's a very special woman. And to be able to not only, be able to work some shows and do some stuff with her, but to also build a friendship that lasted 19 and a half years. That's why, I keep the Christmas cards and keep the letters and keep that. It's not a weirdness thing, or it's just, when I showed everybody the letter Terry Funk sent me, it's not a bragging thing. It's a special thing. It brings back memories, good memories of things from yesteryear. And I wasn't kidding when I said earlier, based on all those years of knowing her, there is no way that she wanted anyone tonight to be crying and sobbing over what happened. She would want everyone to remember all the screaming, all the smiles, all the hugs, all the autographs, all the phone calls, all the handshakes, all the Polaroids, all the things that she did for others and asked for nothing in return. That's what she would want. And she definitely made this world, and anybody that came across her, whether it was in person or on TV or through a convention, she left this world in a much better place than not being in it at all. And that is the truth. Stoney Loney, much love, my friend. He remembers her growing up back in the Nitro days. I'm a little surprised. Nobody asked me this question tonight. DT, did you have a crush on Daffney? When she was in WCW as the goth goddess, I thought she was, I've always said I'm a brunette guy, not a, I'm into brunettes. That's how I always was. Not trying to be biased. Just always liked dark hair. I thought she was very attractive. And, when she left the message on my voicemail, when she heard me just showing some love, I didn't think it was her at first. But when she left the email address and the phone number, and I looked online and the email address was her, I'm like, holy shit. Then I felt a little nervous. But then I went back to even when I did a little work for ECW. I'm going to just talk to someone like I talk to everybody else every day. I don't get starstruck. I mean, I appreciate people, and I don't take away, but, I just talk to her like everyone else. And we had a fun conversation. I did another interview with the XPW stuff. I have it saved somewhere. And it just led to friendship. And number one, I never tried to make the moves because number one, she was married. And me, I'm not that type of guy to get involved. First of all, she's married. She's married to someone, like she was, there ain't no way. And even after that was over, I'm not a type anyway. You know what I mean? So, no, it was just a good friendship. Just a good friendship. It was like a cousin. Not a sister, but like a cousin. Never looked at her. Once I became friendly with her, never looked at her in that way. And, some of you remember the infamous hotel story. For those that don't know that story, I'll tell you very quick without naming any names. We did a wrestling event for USA Pro Wrestling or UXW. And I picked her up from LaGuardia Airport, and I picked her up from there, took her to a hotel. And after the event was over, I was taking her back to the hotel. So she's like, want to hang out for a little while? There was going to be a couple other people there too. So I'm like, sure, no problem. So we go in a room and we're hanging out and everything. So another wrestler who was on the card called a room. and said, what's going on? And she's like, oh, we're just all hanging out. We're just bullshitting and everything. So he comes up. And while we're in the hotel room, this wrestler walks into the bathroom with another girl. 99% of you out there wouldn't know who she was because she was more local indie. But he goes in the bathroom with this girl. I'm not saying that he hit a home run. I'm not saying he went to third base or anything like that, but they made out in the bathroom. And like Daphne's like turning the TV up and trying to find like something really good to like turn up, and everything on TV was shitty. And you hear like lips, you hear the noises, and we're like awkward. And it was one of the funniest things. We ended up going to buy sodas from a vending machine. And she's like, this is my room. I got to take a shower. I got to go to my flight in a couple of hours. And two people were getting busy in the bathroom. So she was just down to earth, cool person, man. And very, very friendly. And that's another thing too. One thing you notice also, nobody ever took advantage of that friendship. Seriously, no one ever took advantage of that friendship. It's just that none of us ever envisioned that the sadness was that deep. It's no question over the years. I talked about my food addiction with her. I was embarrassed the way I looked. She talked about issues with her personal life. When she was in Florida, there was a couple of things that went on that were a little bit nuts. But one thing you take away, no one that I'm aware of ever took her kindness for weakness and took advantage of her. So she was very, very strong and didn't take shit from anybody. But even with that, it still took over. So anyway, we're going to start wrapping this up, everybody. We're going to start wrapping this up. I think I wanted to pay a personal tribute to her today. Not like everybody else running down her career and all the feds and everything like that. I just wanted to share the person that I knew personally and how awesome she was. And it sucks. It sucks that anyone out there could get so depressed that to them the only answer is to leave this earth. Leave your family behind. Leave your friends behind. Leave all the good, that you gave people. You leave that all behind. That even with that, it's still not worth it. I can only imagine what that must feel like, and I don't ever want to feel like that. So, Rofe, much love to you. Thank you for your generosity, my brother. Hope everything is well with you. Rams fan is not a fan of Darren Gordon Hill in the chat. Darren could be a little bit salty at times, but you know what? Give Darren credit. Gabrielle, if you met me on the street, no starstruck. Seriously, everyone that met me at the big event last February, we just hung out like everybody else. If anything, I felt awkward because I was giving people hugs and kisses on the cheek. Then you see the Cuomo stuff, and I'm like, oh, my God, some of you out there know who you are. I'm like, I hope this person didn't get creeped out. I met some people that I never met before, and I'm like, oh, my God, nice to meet you. Gave him a hug. This February is a month before COVID just went crazy. I gave a couple of people a kiss on the cheek, nothing sexual whatsoever. And to this day, I've said it to Mish a couple of times publicly. To this day, I always say to myself, I hope none of them got creeped out. That's just who I am, But no, nobody is intimidated. I'm just a regular guy. Once in a while, somebody shows up in my office, which honestly I don't like. Because when I'm in my office, especially since there's always shit going on. Like, I'd love to socialize and talk about the shows and the hotlines and stuff like that. But, you know, when work is going on, like today, I had so many customers I had to file claims for. This person's car is underwater. This person's basement got flooded, this and that. And then once in a while, someone will be like, holy shit, nice to meet you. Can I get a picture? And I'm always, you know, open and friendly. But, you know, the office is a little bit, you know, I wouldn't do that. James Young, thank you very much for your generosity. Sorry that it had to be under these circumstances, but thank you, James, for that. It's very kind of you. Sean Hickman, thank you for your generosity as well. And by the way, we are up to $413, which means at minimum, we're sending Daphne or Daphne's family or a charity cause, we're sending at least, well, YouTube takes a little portion, but I'm not deducting anything. We're going to send at least $8.25. So, but thank you, Sean. Very, very generous of you. Same to TCB. Just wanted to send a little something. And this is beautiful. This is beautiful. You know, yesterday I was very, very choked up. Last night, I couldn't fall asleep. And when I saw it today, you know, it hit like a ton of bricks. But I kept thinking to myself, she smiled too many times around me and was always upbeat, yelling, laughing, running around, having fun, you know, everything. And that she would want everybody to say thank you and not to be down. And trust me, her legacy will live on. Her happiness, her goodness will live on. And again, it's kind of unfair to put WWE on the spot like that, but I wish they would grow a set and put someone in the Hall of Fame for the Warrior Award, and outside of Twitter or a commercial, talk about mental health. Let somebody talk about it on the stage, that it could hit anybody at any time and wreak its ugly head, and we need to be better people. You do it in front of millions of fans watching. How do you not? Shout out to Roger Rubio. Oh, he went to the Giants-Brewers game. I hope you had fun, my friend. I hope you enjoyed it. So good for you. Good for you. Baseball here in New York, even though I think the Mets still have a chance to make a run, keep the faith. BC reviews. You know what, BC, I'm going to save you for last. We have one more I want. Rojo Bear 24. He popped up a few times tonight. Generosity multiple times. Thank you very much, my brother. Much love. Thank you for your generosity. And tonight, I want to close this out with BC Reviews. And he said, please do not feel like I need to match a DT. What I'm doing shows the person that I am. Everybody rubs off on me. You know, in a little way, without question, Daphne's rubbed off on me. My mom has rubbed off on me. My dad with the work ethic, my grandmother, people I come across in life. You know, you take a little from every person, you know. And it was interesting how we first became friends. And it took a hotline host. Remember, this Ivan is the same Ivan that caused the scene with Nicole Bass. For those that don't know the Nicole Bass story, and then we'll wrap this up. Around the same time that this happened with Daphne, I was friends with Nicole Bass for about 15 years. Nicole Bass lived in Middle Village, Queens. I lived in Middle Village, Queens until 97. When I met my ex, I moved to Levittown, Long Island for a little while. Then I moved back to my neighborhood I'm in now, and I've been here since. Growing up, anybody that remembers, I used to always talk about hanging out at Juniper Park. And my friends, Darren and Joe, they lived on a block right by Juniper Park. And we would always, when we were growing up in the 80s, the thing to do late at night, especially on the weekends, is hang out in the corner with your boombox. Some people would break dance. Some people would just crank the radio. So many times we would hang out in front of Nicole Bass's house and blast the radio because my friend lived directly across the street from her. And once in a while, she would come downstairs. Look, I'm trying to get some sleep. I got a tournament coming up. Is there any way you could bring it down a notch or go to the corner? But Nicole Bass was always mad cool. We were friends with her husband. And her husband owned a snake. And he would drive to Astoria, Queens to buy these exotic mice just to feed his snake. So once in a while, we would ride with him. I would never watch because I can't see things like that. But let me tell you something. Walking into Nicole Bass's house, and I'll get to the Ivan part in a second. Walking into Nicole Bass's house, she lived on the second floor. And if anybody that knew her or was friends with her, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You would walk up this long flight of stairs, and then you would look to the right and see a big entertainment center, and then there would be trophies everywhere. Pictures of her with Arnold, pictures with, you wouldn't believe. She had more trophies than you could imagine. Nicole Bass, it was crazy. You would go out there and you'd be in awe with what you would see. So anyway, now we get to the 90s. Because I knew her since the middle 80s. Now we're in the late 90s, and I'm doing a wrestling hotline. So shortly after the interview with Daffney, I talked about it on my hotline once that I was friends with Nicole Bass, that we used to hang out right across the street from her. So my friend says to me, oh, you should have her on as an interview. I'm like, yeah, I don't really do interviews as that. So this Captain Ivan guy leaves me a message. And he's like, dude, I would love to interview Nicole Bass. And I said, look, you should talk to 𝘁cie RH, God rest her soul, and see what happens. So anyway, I talked to 𝘁cie RH for him. 𝘁cie talks to Nicole Bass. And Nicole Bass says, yeah, I'll do the interview. So Nicole Bass, I already had her phone number. I asked if it was okay if I pass it along to Ivan. So I give Captain Ivan Nicole Bass's phone number. Big mistake. Captain Ivan calls Nicole Bass up on the phone. And the second part of this, I did not know until afterwards. He calls her up on the phone, and he says he's ready to do an interview with her, and he wanted to do like a pre-interview and this and that. So they get everything ready, and she's fine with it. So he says he goes, all right, let me call my hotline, and we'll record. And she's like, what are you talking about? What hotline? And he's like, yeah, we're doing this for my hotline. She's like, no, I was told this was for a magazine. Drip Van Winkle. Johnny Drip Van Winkle. Much love, my friend. Welcome to the family. So Nicole Bass tells Ivan, no, I thought this was for a magazine. I'm not doing no wrestling hotline. So he's like, yeah, but. She's like, but nothing. She's like, I don't want to do it. Maybe another time, please leave me alone. She hangs up on him. He calls her back. And she's like, do not call my house again. He calls a third time. And again, I didn't know about this until after the fact. Her husband gets on the phone. I will feed you to my fucking snake if you call this house again. I don't know who you are, but I will run your number and I will beat the living shit. So he didn't call her again. So the interview never happened. I never asked Ivan what happened because I don't really talk to him. A couple of weeks later, we have a block party. And every year, the house across the street would roast a pig. They had this giant yard, they would roast a pig. So I remember the block party. I remember hanging out in the guy's yard, and they're roasting the pig, and Nicole Bass walks across the street. And, she's hanging out. Everybody was friends with her, including me. And I just happened to say, I say, how did that interview go with that guy, Ivan? And she looked at me. She says, you're friends with that mother. And I said, wait, what happened? And she's like, that son of a bitch called my house multiple times, and my husband threatened to kill him. And this is it. What psycho? How the fuck do you friends? I'm like, I swear, Nicole, I don't know this guy. I said, I do a hotline too. You do a hotline also? And she wanted to roast me. She wanted to stick the pole up my ass and roast me with an apple in my mouth. She got so angry with me, and I told her, I said, I swear to you, I said, I don't know this guy. I said, he just reached out. He wanted to do it. So what he did to Daffney, he did to her too. Then, when I smoothed things over, I told Ivan, I said, don't you fucking dare to call her, to tell her you're not going to call her anymore like you did. Yeah. And like I said, I showed you the proof. Look, for anybody tuned in late, look at the right. See? Look at the third paragraph on the right under that black block that I blocked out. See? Thank you again for speaking with Ivan. That's Daffney. I wasn't kidding when I told those stories back in the day. Now you get to see proof of that. So, yeah. So, unfortunately, Nicole Bass passed away as well. She had some major health issues. And another person taken way too soon. I know a lot of people were not fans of Nicole Bass, but believe me when I tell you, the Nicole Bass that we knew growing up, pretty cool chick. I mean, she let us blast our radios. And only when it got to the point where she really couldn't deal with it, that's when she would say, look, please, I need to sleep. So speaking of sleep, I need to sleep. So BC Reviews 51, thank you again for your generosity. No, I keep my promise. I match. So we match together, not you and I relationship-wise, but we match. We'll hook up. We'll do something very, very nice for Daffney. Rojo Bear, stopping by with the run-in once again. Much love, my brother. Thank you very much. Good guy. And Larry C., if anyone else is struggling, just know people do love and care about you. It is hard to see sometimes. Yeah. When you feel alone, and again, I did not watch the video. I read some websites of a couple of things that people wrote. The Boston comment, I'll say this. For the people that don't know what the Boston comment meant, and I'm not going to get into the actual words. All I'll say is this. The institute that examines brains and concussions is located in Boston. I think it's Boston University. So when Daffney made the Boston comment, she was talking about that when she is no longer here, she wants her brain analyzed about the concussions. That's what she was talking about. So that's why, like I say, when you feel lonely, when you feel helpless, and again, I don't know what that deep rock bottom feels like, but I could only imagine when you are that low and that deep, and then on top of it, you're dealing with issues with your brain. I mean, my God, you hear stories about people just paranoid. What was that? Could you just imagine the torment that was going on? That could be the reason why she was so over the top in the last couple of years with her kindness, that there might have been a struggle, and the good, being good, laughing, poking fun at herself, wearing the funny hats, laughing, talking, having a good time, laughing. That kept her going. We'll never understand. But in death, her legacy will live on, and hopefully someone in the future that may not feel it right now, that may not even be depressed right now, something could happen and suddenly you're feeling it. And remember this night. Remember 𝗁𝗃𝗃𝗃. Remember others. And if you would be there for a friend, if you would be there for a parent, a relative, a loved one, then let someone be there for you. Let someone be there for you. Let them give it a shot. You know, suck up your pride, your ego. Doesn't matter how good you look or how bad you look. You know, if you would do that for someone else, let someone do it for you. There's no answer. Nothing I could say is going to convince somebody down the line, he's right. He's right. I got to let somebody. At the end of the day, that person has to make the decision. Somebody could have showed up last night and maybe stopped her last night. Who knows if she would have tried it again the next day, the next month, the next year. You know, when you have someone dealing with problems, you know, you always have that worry in the back of your head. You always worry. But what could you do? What could you do? There's no proof that unless that person tells you and they're crying out for help, there's no way to know for sure. That's why, you know, when people get really reckless online, even through a joke, you know, it may be funny and your intentions might be lighthearted, but at the end of the day, that could be devastating for someone. You know, just because you're strong doesn't mean the person that you're cracking a joke at is as strong. And plus, you never know the domino effect that could cause. You know, you joke about someone or you bring something out there, then someone else piles on and cracks a joke too. And then someone else piles on and does something too. And then that person doesn't know how to react and may snap back the wrong way. And that's it. Release the hounds. Next thing you know, that person is forced off of Twitter or wherever else. And if they felt alone already, could you imagine what they feel after that? Seriously. Larry C., thank you again, my friend. And we will end this now with SRH John 07. One thing he could say is Daffney always had a smile on her face every time he saw her. That is true. Every time we saw her. I mean, every time you saw her, she had a smile on her face. She never wanted to bring anyone down. That's why, you know, when I saw the screenshot yesterday, you know, I've heard sadness on the phone from her before, you know, regarding a cat, you know, relationship going south, you know, looking for job, trying to get into acting, and it didn't happen, you know, feeling that, you know, WWE kept some not very talented women on the roster, but let her go. And she worked extremely hard for it. You know, there is times, we all have those times, but you never think that is going to snowball into something really, really deep. I'm telling you, people, let me end it with this, because I think this is very, very important. And I'm dead serious when I say this. When you see people talking about how we need to be better, there are factors that have nothing to do with you and I. And if you ask me right now, DT, what is the number one thing that gets you down? Yes, when I dream about my dog, sometimes it gets me down. Yes, I don't know how much time my parents are going to be here, so I cherish every day I can. But the one thing that gets me the saddest is my age. Because my friendship with Daffney spanned 20 years. 20 years from now, I'm a senior citizen. The one thing that probably depresses me the most right now is my age. And that has nothing to do with social media. That has nothing to do with tormenting. That has nothing to do with, we need to be better. No, there are people out there that when they have been doing something for 20 plus years, and that's all they love, and that's all they do, and they love being around the people, and then it's over. And then because you're 46 years old, 50 years old, and you're too old to do what you did before, I mean, that could be the breaking point for someone. So don't always think that because everybody's a better person online, that stops it. There are other factors. Someone could have cancer. There are factors that has nothing to do with behavior and online. That's something you always got to think about also. So, SRH John, thank you again. Everyone, have a great night. I thank you. I'm glad I didn't shed physical tears tonight on the show. I wanted to be a celebration, a tribute. I never in a million years think we would talk 3 hours about her and related topics. But I hope this helped some out there. And if Daffney is somehow, she has internet up there and she's able to see this, Shannon, I hope I did you good. So, all right, everybody. Much love. Rest in peace, Shannon. I made this banner myself, by the way. Much love. And once again, props to the guy that enhanced this photo. I wish you would have taken out all my hair on my chest. But yeah, that was 2002. That was at the 𝘁cie convention. And later that night, me and that hairy chest went out. So much love, everybody. Post your comments. Anything that you want to say about her, I will answer back. Eventually I get back to everybody. And beautiful night tonight. Just to let everyone know, the official number to end the show tonight is $468. So we generated almost $1,000 tonight for Daffney. And we'll find out if it's funeral, we'll donate it there. If they don't need help with funeral, if we could donate flowers and maybe some other stuff, we'll figure it out. Or we'll put it to charity. We'll do something. But it is going to be given in the name of Shannon. So rest in paradise, Shannon. As Chris said, much love, everybody. Before I go, I want to give a special shout out to our VIPers. I promise this is the last night. I wait until the end of the show to do this. I sometimes forget. I lose my train of thought sometimes. But the commanders of the Donzilla Army are VIPers. And much love to all of you. Our channel members, which you see above in red, shout out to them as well. If you want to subscribe to this channel, please do. If you enjoyed tonight's show in some way, hit that like button. If you did not enjoy it, throw it a thumbs down. I'd rather people be honest. Don't kiss my ass. But, and spread the word. If you know anyone out there that you think would appreciate tonight's show, let them know. Let them know. And Saturday, I'll be here at 8 o'clock Eastern. We'll do predictions. We'll talk a little bit about SmackDown, any news that breaks, and I will take calls. So if you have any specific tribute you want to give to Daffney or any one moment that you always remember, taking the shot from Abyss, getting on the thumbtacks, winning the Cruiserweight title, some of the skits with David Flair, anything, XPW, personal meet with her. You have something specific, bring it up. We'll talk about it on Saturday. So, yeah, Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern. I will be off tomorrow. I will be spending it with family, and I will be falling asleep early. So, near Rofe, much love, my friend. Thank you for the run-in. And, yeah, I think truly, I'm not just saying this, I think every single one of you tonight, with the exception of the trolls, I think every single one of you tonight also made Daffney very, very happy. She's looking down and she's probably like, all this fuss for me? For me? Yeah. For you, Daffney. For you.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's alright. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.